Welcome to this special edition Voxcast with the Vigilus campaign book and with the chapter approved campaign book and the pastry chef behind it.
You guys are in so much trouble.
The sirens have started.
Yeah. Reg incoming. Woo.
Have we got like some duct tape or anything? I'm gonna behave.
Yes. Well, actually, to be fair, so we've had the book a little while now. First off, thanks so much to Games Workshop for allowing us the opportunity to preview it. Amazing, always humbled to get this opportunity, and my goodness, how cool are these two books? In particular, not that chapter approved isn't cool, but chapter approved is what we'd expect a chapter approved. But this campaign book,
It's really cool.
it is very cool. The fluff's really interesting, and what's more is awesome narrative play in here. But in addition to that, new ways to potentially spice up the game, perhaps a new direction for the future.
Yeah.
It's almost like
Perhaps.
formation.
It's almost like
Yeah.
Formation.
I'm not saying I called it,
Bet you called
but
it.
I'm a bit of a visionary.
They're definitely formations.
They're formations.
But you at least pay for them. As unlike Seventh, you didn't.
Yeah.
And we will cover them. We'll cover them towards the end of this video.
Sure.
But on initial look, it doesn't look like there's. I mean, in 7th edition, there were some formations which were just obviously broken. This appears to have some sort of modicum of, a bit of balance there.
Yeah.
So that's cool. But we'll cover them in a little bit more detail. And Chef, what are you doing?
I'm just comparing the size of the 2018 to the 2017.
Which one is bigger?
It is a weighty tome.
Is
The
2018
2018 is bigger. It's 143 pages.
But
Very
as always, it's not the size; it's how you use it.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So
That's what they say.
That's what they say.
So, chapter approved is what we're going to cover first. We'll probably address the missions because that changes and so much. Really, it's almost like it's, in my opinion, a new game, a 40 game.
Well, they've already done on the community page the acceptable losses rule,
Right.
which is acceptable casualties. Sorry, which applies to every one of these missions,
Yeah.
as far as I can see.
It does.
So, as you all know, that is sudden death doesn't matter, which is one of my favourite things about Sigmar, and has been for years and years. But yeah, it changes it.
This is big.
Yeah.
Massively.
It's so huge that we need to dedicate a segment of this Voxcast to the missions. So I tell you what, why don't we cover those missions?
Yeah.
We'll do that, and that's coming up next. So, folks, let's talk missions. Chapter approved 2018. 6 new Eternal War missions, 6 new Maelstrom missions. As was just said by Chef and as was highlighted by Warhammer Community earlier this week, the sudden death rules are not in play in any of these missions. So what does this mean specifically? It means that if you table your opponent, you do not automatically win the game. In fact, what happens is you would carry on playing the rounds.
To try and score
yeah.
as many
Just-
points as you can.
Yeah. And if when you tabled them, let's say you tabled them in turn 5, they had more points than you, and then you only have the remainder of your turn 5 to score points, and you still don't score enough, and then you roll and the game ends. Guess what? You just lost the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, the explicit difference is the fact that the game. So if I'm tabled on turn 2, you have a turn 3, a turn 4, a turn 5, potentially turn 6 and 7 to get points.
Yeah.
But obviously, depending on the mission, some of that might not be
Curbed.
necessarily easy to do.
That's right. Because again, now looking at the missions, it really, in my opinion, correct me if I'm wrong, kind of encourages a variety of forces
Massively
Yeah.
so.
at your disposal, because different missions require really different units to be advantageous in those missions. So, Chef, why don't you mention a couple of highlights we'll cover the Eternal War first.
Yep. Yeah, so we won't go through every mission just because there's a lot to cover and you guys will need time to look at that over. One thing that I will say is that they've updated more of the mission rules for match play. So Battle Brothers is still a thing. Boots on the ground is still a thing. So now this is interesting because I was talking to
Colonel.
I was talking to Colonel about this. Also, I was like, well, hang on.
He's got an Ultramarine Sky Fleet.
He's got his
9
Sky
flies.
Fleet. Now his flyers with the fly battlefield roll, you still cannot control objective markers.
Yeah.
But because the amendment to sudden death is the thing of flyers, you can still have 9 flyers going around, and you ignore that for the purposes of sudden death now.
Yep.
So you'll be hard pressed to hold objectives, but you don't automatically lose just because you've got 3 flyers left alive.
Right, but it would still count for things like line breaker at the end of the game, is my understanding.
Yeah, it's objective
Because
markers.
it's not an objective counter, exactly. But that's very interesting and a change I immediately support because I thought it was a little bit.
Well, this really
sad,
encourages
but-
playing the mission rather than I'm going to table you in turn 3, because I think that is a thing that a lot of people have mentioned in regards to 8th, is that you kind of have turn 1 of preparing, turn 2 and 3, and then the game's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is now, you've actually got to consider what happens in turn 4 and 5.
Yeah.
Like, well, I could table you, but what happens if I draw bad Maelstrom, or if I'm not in a good position to actually go and claim the Eternal War missions?
Yeah.
Limits of command is still there, so you can't use the command reroll stratagem to affect your mission dice rolls, so deployment types and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Psychic focus is still a thing. Ignore the rumours, guys. Brotherhood of Psychers, it's still a thing.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
There's no... So, I'm just going to do that now.
Yeah.
There are no data sheet changes in here.
No,
there
there
are.
are 4 datasheet changes, but they are so there are but they're so they're so minor.
I've read it for about 5
yes,
minutes.
he's not had it as long as we have because he's been away.
But I mean, in terms of, there's no army rule changes.
no,
That's
correct.
so,
You're absolutely-
things
or
like-
stratagem changes.
There's no stratagem changes, there's no army rule changes, so your -1 to hit is still -1 to hit. It's not
Yeah.
+1 cover save like
Correct.
the rumours were saying.
That is completely. I don't know where that rumor came from.
There's no...
It's a nice rumour.
It would have been nice.
Yeah.
But there's no, power armor gives you this
No.
ability anymore. There's
No.
nothing like that.
No,
So
No.
there's not, or at least there's nothing that I've seen. It could be hidden, buried deep inside
there isn't.
this book, but it's not.
There isn't. It's not there.
Strategic discipline is still the same, so only one, the one stratagem per thing. Targeting characters is the same. Under strength support is the same. The command point regen is not official yet.
Yeah.
The tactical reserves is not official yet. It's still beta. So if you don't want to use those rules, you don't have to, but pretty much everyone's using those rules because they will eventually be made official, probably in FAQ 1.
Yeah, probably.
But the mission. So that's the sort of the preface for all your match play missions.
Yeah.
Now, all the Eternal War missions and all the Maelstrom missions have a few key changes with these ones. So the big one for me, well, obviously you've got acceptable casualties, so you play the mission, you don't play the tabling.
Yeah,
There's 2 other big changes. The first of which is we've kind of gone a little bit old school here. It's deploy second, go first. Oh no, sorry. Deploy first, go first.
Go first.
My bad. So
Huge.
you deploy your entire army. Your opponent then counter deploys and then can try and seize.
Yeah. And the preface to that is that every single mission is you roll off.
Yep.
And the winner determines the deployment zone and picks it.
Yep.
Yeah.
So they get the advantage on the terrain,
They
if
get
you like,
advantage on
because
terrain.
they're going to pick their deployment zone.
Advantage on counter deploy.
They get their advantage on counter deploy because after they've picked their deployment zone, the opponent sets up their entire army. So drops really are not relevant anymore.
Not in these missions.
No,
No.
not in these missions, exactly. Now, I would argue that these missions are probably far more balanced than the previous missions, both out of the rulebook and last chapter approved. I don't know how you guys feel about that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Because I've played a couple of games with it
Yes,
now.
well, we have, yeah. Exactly.
And it's just it's so much better. And
It's a new game.
Yeah, it really is a new game, and your target priority completely changes. I mean, when you're always playing for objectives, it just makes it far more tactical as well.
Yeah.
And actually, going first now, there's some real advantages to going second.
Yeah, some real advantages.
Real advantages, which
Serious
I think
advantages.
Chef is going to bring up in a minute, because you score at the end of the battle round now.
Not all of them. Some of them you score. So we'll
At the
sort of touch on,
beginning.
on those weird ones, but generally it is. So this first mission that I'm looking at, Vital Intelligence, at the start of each battle round, the player who had the first turn rolls a d6. So you've got 5 objective markers. Now these are set up in very explicit places.
Yeah.
One in the centre,
Yeah.
and then boom, 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 in like halfway points along the corners of the battlefield.
It's basically 12 inches on, 18 inches from the side.
On your 6x4 board.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. But
So you roll a dice at the start of each battle round. On a 1 to a 5, it corresponds with that objective number, so you have got to mark them out. If you roll a 6, all of them are classed as active. At the end of the battle round, each player scores a number of victory points equal to the number of objective markers they control. If it's not active, it's worth 1. If it's active, it's worth 2. But this is all progressive scoring in an Eternal War mission, which I really, really like.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
Now, the other thing as well that I will sort of touch on when you were talking about it, Bone, in terms of it really changes the game in terms of your target priority. I haven't played any of the new missions yet. You've played 2 or 3 now?
I've played 2.
You'll be
2.
playing one later today then?
Yeah.
I will be, yes. Would you say they're more fun and varied?
Yeah, 100%.
Because I think that's the issue with a lot of the main core book ones, was they're all pretty samey.
Yes.
Yeah.
Having a glance at these, there's a lot of really different ones, really, really different ones.
And that some of them have special rules as well to make the flavour. And it's like they're actually like missions that I've never played before in 40k.
They feel like narrative missions in a matched setting.
Exactly.
Yes.
They just
good
that's a
comparison.
that's a good comparison.
Yeah.
There's a bit more flavour, and each mission forces you to think in a different way.
It does, yeah.
Each mission favours different types of armies. Although I will say I think hordes and mass infantry now are going to be huge.
Yes.
If you don't have infantry in your armies, you're going to need it.
Yeah, you're going to have to really think about how you build
yes.
your army for these missions, and you will need to build for the missions now.
Yeah.
One thing I will say as well is that when playing, so having filmed a couple already, in fact, we use Vital Intelligence because it's the first mission in chapter approved. We use it in our battle report, which you can also watch today. Which is out. So you might have watched the battle report first, and then now you're watching this. Either or, but you can see the mission, as a live example with the new Adeptus Sororitas Codex, which we won't cover in this, ironically, part of chapter approved, because we'll just cover it in the.
You cover that in the mission.
battle report. Yeah,
well,
exactly.
it's very good.
Yeah, we'll just say it's good.
If you're a Sisters player, you're going to be happy.
Yeah.
I'm not a Sisters player, and I'm happy about
it. They're awesome.
But yeah, so and then in the mission, and this is the other interesting thing, is that each of these missions, not individually, but they usually have a different way of you scoring the objective.
Yeah.
So you'll see it in Vital Intelligence, it's number of models within 3 inches. They released the Narrow the Search mission on community page, and that is the one objective, and that's the shrinking.
From 18 inches all the way down to 3 inches. It reduces in size 3 or diameter rather of 3 inches every turn.
At the end of each battle round. And you score 1 victory point. If you have more models with it. So again, it's like, well, if you've got 6 knights, you're never going to control that. So you've now got to get your opponent down to less than 6 knights. But that ties in with your target priority, because your opponent might go, well, I've only got my 5 models are left, but they're troops, so I still control it.
Yeah, exactly.
So troops become really, really important.
Yeah.
And this is the funny thing. Like what you're just saying there reinforces how I felt when playing the missions. You have to play the mission, not table the opponent.
Yeah.
You
have to play the mission.
Yeah.
Or you will lose.
I mean, the one thing I'll say in that is with Narrow the Search is that is actually quite fun for a night player, because that's a race against time.
Yeah.
You've got to kill them in the time that it takes for you to actually start scoring points.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is going to be real tricky.
Really hard.
It's cool.
And also for the knights, there's a special rule in there, I believe, where if you're within 12 of it, you actually lose your invulnerability.
Oh, the null field?
So...
it's okay, my Grey Knights don't care about that.
Yeah. But what's kind of cool about it, is you suddenly have this kill field in the middle of it, and it gets really brutal. I mean, when you're going to start having combat armies in there and stuff like that as well. My Space Wolves will hate that mission. Oh, they will hate that mission so much.
Where are your wolf now?
Yeah, exactly. Well, they're dead, Chef. They're dead. But it's just cool. Like, I mean, anyway, I get. I've played that mission as well, and it was really good fun.
Yeah,
it's really good fun.
Now, all of the missions, I've had a quick flick through. Every single mission, Eternal War and Maelstrom, had the same 3 secondary objectives. So, Slay the Warlord, still the same. Linebreaker, still the same. Although, I think Linebreaker might have changed slightly. I'm not sure on this. Correct me if I'm wrong. If at the end of the battle you have at least 1 model within your enemy's deployment zone, not a unit.
Do you know what that is actually a distinction? Yeah.
I think that might have changed.
Yeah, it used to be a unit.
Right, well that's
So you can
changed.
just take the sneaky
You
one
can
in.
have that
Yeah.
one little, so you might not need to get your entire unit within 6 inches.
That's cheeky.
It's cheeky.
I'm not sure if that is different, but it might be. But the fact that it's distinct as
I
one
think
model.
you're right. I think it is different.
Yeah.
But then the really important one is first strike, not first blood.
Hello.
Yes! Finally!
So to take away the arbitrary, which was already very powerful for going first, and then to just give the person that went first an even better advantage by being able to score a point which you
Basically a
couldn't.
3 point, yeah.
Yeah. Now you can both score a point in your first turns if you kill an enemy unit.
Yeah. So if any enemy units
Great.
from your opponent's army were
So
destroyed during the first battle round,
Great.
marvellous. And now that is the first battle round, not necessarily your first turn. So you
No,
might
you
kill
can do it in
something
their turn.
in your opponent's combat phase, for
Yeah.
example,
Yeah.
or in Overwatch,
Right.
Yeah.
and you go, "Hello."
There's my point.
You got it.
Which is
You still-
great.
You can still get the point.
So they're consistent across the board, so we won't touch upon them anymore. Acceptable casualties, the same across the board. Deployment is, apart from maybe one mission, is the same across the board. But
Yeah.
I think that's only related to placing objective markers.
Correct. Yeah. The deployment maps are used straight out of the main rulebook.
Straight,
Yeah.
main rulebook. You always place the objective. Generally, you're always placing the objectives first. Then you're doing your terrain, and then you roll your deployment map. So pretty much the same, apart from maybe one.
Yeah.
Battle length is still the same. It's turn 5, and then on a 3+ or a 4+, and it always ends on turn 7. First turns are always the same, seizes as they are. So we've done vital intelligence. Narrow the searches on the community page. Then and then it starts getting really different. So you've got cut off the head, which kind of involves. So I'm just going to really give some nice vague stuff here. This involves divvying up intel points to characters in your army,
Yeah.
and only your characters with those intel points can control objectives. Troops doesn't matter. Your Imperial Guard commissar standing next to a knight, he doesn't care. That commissar's holding that objective because he's uploading the intel. Is kind of the point of the mission of that one.
That's very cool.
Yeah. So it's almost like a bit. It's kind of a tweak on the Ascension
Yes, from
mission
Sigma.
from the second chapter approved.
Oh, right, of course.
where
Yeah.
characters control. But this one explicitly calls out that only characters control the objective. Other units cannot control them. You ignore them when determining who controls the objective marker. Your next mission involves 4 objectives in the corners of the battlefield. Now this is almost the opposite. If at the end of each battle round you control more objective markers than the opponent, you score 1 victory point. Now bear in mind there's only 4. So you get nothing on a draw.
No.
And this is at the end of each battle round.
Yeah.
If you control all of them, you get 3.
Yeah.
Player controls the objective marker if they have more models with the troops battlefield rolled within 3 inches. Other units cannot control objective markers. Oh. Troops are really important.
So now we've had a mission where only characters can score. We've had a mission where only troops can score.
Yeah.
We've had a mission that
Is one
the majority of models
fighting.
score,
Yeah.
but it also has a null field which
Yeah.
removes the invulnerable save and shrinks the higher the turn number. Crazy.
So there's some real variety
Yeah.
here. Variety here. Then you've got supplies from above. This is one of my favourite ones. So you set up 4 objectives. 4 objectives? Until 4 have been placed. You alternate placement. At the start of each battle round, starting with the player who has the first turn, you alternate picking objective markers, and then you roll off. And whoever wins that can move that objective 3 inches, because essentially these are like crates coming down, like worm style, full of weapons and health kits.
So good.
If it's tied, you don't move it at all. Now here's the interesting one. Starting from the second battle round, each player scores 1 victory point for each objective marker they control at the start of their turn.
Start their turn.
So you cannot move on to the objective because it's already landed.
Right.
Standard objective rules, if you have more models within 3 than your opponent does, you control it. Unless, if one of you has something with the fly keyword, but not a fly battlefield role to fit in with boots on the ground, they control it regardless.
Yep.
So if you've got a Viper hovering by the supply, surrounded by 30 orcs, well, that Viper basically intercepts it and scoots off.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
Yeah.
So again, really different. You kind of almost have to react to that one. You have to think 2 turns ahead with that one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because you can sort of sit on the objective turn 1, not get any points for it.
Yep.
Turn 2, is when you start getting the points, but it might have moved away, so you need to be really planning ahead with that one. And then the final one is Beachhead, which is 3 objectives. Now this one is where it's slightly different with the deployment. You place 1 objective marker in the centre, you roll off, do the deployment, you pick the deployment zone and then you place 1 marker in it, and then your opponent does it, and then you deploy normally.
Yeah.
And in this one, it's essentially so starting from the second battle round, you get a number of victory points for each objective marker they control at the start of their turn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So again, start of the turn, you can't just run onto it to claim it at the end of the turn. You've really got to plan ahead.
Yeah.
And it's an incremental one, so obviously your one in your zone is worth less than the one in the middle and the one in your opponent's zone.
Right.
Cool.
So you've got to push it,
Yeah.
and that one is more within 3 as normal.
Yeah, and again, it's encouraging mobile armies rather than static shooting castles, which is good because I think it makes the game more interesting. And static castles tend to be not as interesting because the interaction with whatever sort of opponent they're playing is just, I'm not really going to move, I'm just going to shoot you, which is fine, it's a valid tactic, but it's not as interesting to play, right? Because they're not being active in as many phases of the game where you might be trying to do that, so it becomes, not as fun, I suppose.
Yeah, and look, I play static castles, and I agree with everything you just said.
Yeah.
But I think you've already been feverishly trying to adjust your army to include a mobile element to it now, rather than just a castle of riptides and 55.
The Return of the Devilfish.
Oh yes.
It's very
possible.
Points wise as well. It's not possible. But we'll get to that. I'm getting carried away.
Yeah.
But that's the Eternal War.
That's the Eternal War. Well, we'll do the. We'll come right back and then we'll do some Maelstrom.
All right.
Well, I mean, what are your just before
just general thoughts?
General thoughts on those.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So.
I think the shift from building armies to crush your own enemy to building armies to play missions is only good for the game.
Yeah.
We're going to see a whole bunch of different units reappear just by the nature of it.
Yeah.
It's going to shift the meta incredibly.
Hugely.
It's only good.
Yeah.
It's only good things. It is still a valid tactic if you want to play a kind of army to try and table your opponent in turn 3, because then you've potentially got 2 to 3, maybe 4 turns if you're lucky to score some points. But you still need to have units that can score those points.
Yes.
So seeing things like, talking at a more competitive level now, like seeing things like 3 Castellans wandering around the board. Great. I would love to play that list because you might destroy me, but I've scored a lot of points before you've even got to the end of destroying my army.
Yeah.
So it really shifts it and shakes it around a bit. And I think with these sorts of missions, so far with what we've played, you're always going to come up with a couple of things where, we can tweak that didn't quite work. But I think in tournament play, you can probably just use this book and it would be pretty much bang on.
I would say almost definitely.
Yeah.
Now, we've only played a few so far, but reading it on first impression, I really look forward to next season's Games Workshop's next Heat Grand Tournament season.
Me too.
Because I think that these missions really, really support a far more balanced field than ever before, which is only a good thing.
Yeah. Actually, as you're watching this, we're in Nottingham.
Yes. We are actually
come and say hello.
Yes.
We are there right now.
Yes.
And so this means
at their Heat 3.
At their Heat 3. So this means that this book won't be in play at the moment.
Right.
And it broke my heart.
Yeah.
We're
playing with the old points and we're playing with Chapter Approved 2017.
We're
which
at
of course I
tactical
understand.
disadvantage.
But
But our brains are already
Everyone
working.
is. It's the last hurrah.
It's the last hurrah, exactly. That's the way we look at it.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, look, that's the Eternal War. We'll have a quick, brief look at Maelstrom. That's coming up next. Right, let's dive into the Maelstrom of War. And again, the same changes we've seen in Eternal.
Yep.
No sudden death anymore.
No sudden death.
First strike is across the board.
It's a thing.
Deployment is the same in terms of person picks the deployment zone, opponent deploys everything first, then chooses to go for. And this is another distinction I don't know if we made, but actually the opponent that's deployed first may choose to go first.
The player who finished setting up their army first chooses who takes the first turn.
They don't have to take it.
So you don't have to.
If the opponent, because they've picked the deployment zone, right, and then they've counter-deployed, if they feel the opponent has deployed in such a way that their first turn will be completely useless, they can choose to just give the first turn to the opponent. So again, the tactical play is already happening during deployment, as it should be. So that's good.
That's across all the Maelstroms. Now, this is one of my favourite things of the Maelstrom: refined strategy.
This is huge.
New rule in all of these new Maelstrom missions. Now, this is... A lot of places use the house rule. We use the house rule of if you can't achieve it, discard it and redraw.
Yeah.
This basically does away with that. Before the battle begins, now this is before the battle begins, not before the first round, not that. So you kind of, you have to make that choice of when to do it with your opponent, I would say.
Sure.
This is the only thing that I'm a bit iffy on, is it's not clear when you do it. Now, before the battle begins, but does the battle begin when you create the battlefield? Does it begin when you deploy objectives?
Now I've got it.
I
can answer you that. This is another key change which we haven't covered, which is, I mean, it's not huge, but it kind of is. It talks about the deployment of the terrain in all of the missions.
Yeah.
But you deploy the objectives before the terrain. No. Now, why is that significant?
Create the battlefield, set up terrain, players place 6 objective markers in the Maelstrom.
Now, the reason it's significant is it means you can't place an objective on top of terrain anymore.
No, you set up the terrain first.
In the Eternal War?
Yeah.
Are you certain? Because when I read it first, that was not...
so vital intelligence. Okay. So this is, a distinction I missed here. So once all the objective markers have been placed for vital intelligence, you create the rest of the battlefield and set up terrain. Narrow the search is create battlefield, set up terrain, you place one objective marker in the centre of the battlefield.
Yes.
Set up terrain, objective markers, 4 pillars, that's the troops one.
Yes.
Place 4 objective markers, set up terrain.
Yeah.
Supplies from above is set up terrain, objective markers.
Yeah.
Beachhead is set up terrain, objective markers. The Maelstroms are
all...
mixes. Yeah, the Maelstroms are all set up terrain and then place objective markers.
Because you know how there's that issue, which has sort of been happening all throughout 8th edition. A lot of tournament packs have sort of... clarified, okay, it has to be placed on the ground floor or whatever. Because it's... preventing, at least in some of the missions, the ability for you to place an objective up top. So if you're playing Eldar or Drakari or whatever, or can fly up there and your opponent can't, which is good in my opinion.
So again, little distinctions like that, which we're sort of missing on like these first glance, which you need that sort of almost deep dive into. But it's still your 6 objective markers. Yeah. So I think the before the battle begins bit needs a bit of clarity, because I would say that's before you do anything.
Yes. Yeah.
You go, we're going to play a game. Right, well, before that begins, let's do all the setup-y stuff.
Yeah.
Rather than, because otherwise it would be quite specific and say before the first round.
Yes, exactly.
Or it would say before the first turn begins, or during the first battle round before the first turn begins, like it does with a lot of objective, a lot of like powers and stratagems and stuff. So I would say that this is done before you place anything.
Right. Yeah.
But essentially, each player selects up to 6 of their tactical objectives. You must tell your opponent, and if they are using the tactical objective cards, you remove them from your deck. If you're not using those cards, you just re-roll it if you roll it. Yeah. So basically it means that your deck can be anywhere between 30... You can have anywhere between 36 and 30 tactical objectives which you can achieve. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So you can go, I'm Tau, I can't get power of the warp.
Yeah.
Get rid of it.
Right.
Yeah. Which shouldn't be in their deck anyway.
Right.
But anyway,
but now you
can remove it. So Necrons can remove it.
You know, if you're playing any of those pure factions that do not have Psykers.
Yeah, things like that.
Yeah.
If you're playing, like, I think Marines have, like, their unique one of, like, if you've got something with the fly keyword and it kills, like, Death from Above, if it's got the fly keyword and it kills something, you can go, well, I don't have jump packs or flyers, so I'll discard that. Yeah. You know, so you can tweak it a little bit, it makes it a little bit more customizable. I would say if you're using those rules, you don't use the house rule of discard if you can't achieve.
No, you don't.
Because then there's no need to use that. The reason for that rule is so that you go, as a Tau player, I don't get a duff card. As a Necron player, I don't get a duff card. Yeah. Or playing against someone that doesn't have any Psykers, don't draw witch hunter or something like that.
Yeah.
This still means that then if you do go, I didn't discard objective 1 and it's right over in the corner away from my army, well, tough.
Yeah.
You know, which you wouldn't have discarded anyway because it would be physically possible for you to achieve. So that's a nice addition to the Maelstrom rules.
Yeah, agreed.
And then the Maelstrom rules kind of all follow a similar pattern. Your 6 objectives still. This first one, you have 4 tactical objectives. Always 4 at the beginning of each of your turns. But there's a cool little stratagem you can use. You can interrupt signals. So you can use 1 command point and basically tell your opponent that objective you can't achieve this turn.
Nice.
No,
Nice.
not today. But it's after your opponent generates them. So if they haven't generated any, you can't use it.
Yeah.
Right.
But it means, like, let's say, for example, they draw Kingslayer, and then the turn where your Warlord's in trouble, you're going to go, nah, I'm going to deny that, mate. If they've drawn cards that turn.
Yeah.
So,
And it's just 1 command point?
1 command point.
Cheeky.
That's cheeky.
It's a
First
cheeky
the game
little
when
one.
it's head.
But that's just it. Otherwise, it's quite a simple mission. It's 4 objective markers and always 4, up to 4 every turn.
Yeah.
So quite simple, but with a little tweak to it.
Yeah.
Then you got Decapitation Strike. I like this one.
The name is just epic.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So you generate at the start of a player's turn. You generate 3. You then generate another 3, but you can never have more than 6.
Cool.
Right.
So let's say you have 3, you don't achieve any. Next turn you generate 3. Next turn you wouldn't generate any at all.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you generate up to 3, up to a maximum of 6 every turn.
Sure.
It's a lot of points, a lot of cards.
A lot of cards, but every time a character is slain, the controlling player randomly selects one of their active tactical objective cards and discards it. If you slay the Warlord, it's D3 instead.
Wow.
Because you're decapitating that chain of command.
Yeah, mission parameters are lost.
Yes.
That's so cool.
Really cool.
So again, it's a pretty simple Maelstrom mission, but with a little tweak to it.
Yeah.
Because
a little tweak.
You don't need a huge amount of detail in the Maelstrom missions because it's kind of already involved in the cards anyway.
Which are great fun. I've always really enjoyed Maelstrom, but part of the thing which lets it down is sometimes when, especially in things like, I think, Domination, where you started with 6.
Yep. Yeah, you control all 6 objectives.
Yeah.
But now you can discard that.
Yes, you can.
You could just go, I'm not going to achieve domination. Get rid of it.
Yeah, exactly. I think... do you think that these could now be used in a competitive setting?
What you mean in terms of, like...
It would be interesting, actually.
Well, I think...
For GW, well, will they, in their grand tournament format, incorporate a mix of Maelstrom and Eternal? I don't think they will. I think they'll just... I think the Eternals just work
because
so
Eternals
well
are... You know what you're getting. The Maelstroms are fun. I really enjoy Maelstrom.
Yeah.
I do agree with the general consensus that a pure Maelstrom mission can't really be used as a proper like competitive thing unless you went further with that refined strategy and make it kind of like a deck building game where you go, you know what, your deck is 20 cards.
Right. And
you have anywhere between 20 to 24 objectives that you want to add into your deck, and that can be from any combination of the core ones and your army specific ones, and then you go from there.
Yeah.
So you can go, you know what, my army's almost never ever going to achieve domination. I'm not going to put it in my deck, and you have it as part of your army list.
Yeah. Yeah.
That could, because that kind of caters to that mindset of I need to be in control of everything.
Yeah.
It's still a bit random, but then card games are played competitively on a much grander scale than 40k.
Oh yeah.
Magic the Gathering.
Exactly. Yeah.
Even like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, things like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there could be a market for it. I don't know whether Games Workshop will do that, or if ITC or ETC will do that. I think they'll stick with Eternal for now, but who knows?
Yeah.
Just curiosity. It'd be interesting to see how it pans. We haven't played, because we played a couple of Eternal Wars.
Yeah, we haven't played any of the Maelstrom.
But we haven't played a Maelstrom yet. It'd be interesting to see how
I think it's on the right path, but I just think that the thing is that I find with Maelstrom cards in a competitive setting is that you can build terrain to balance a board. You can build a list based on the weaknesses of your codex. You can get units which will mitigate bad dice rolls to a degree, right? But there's even if you build a deck, there's nothing stopping you from getting a draw which will completely turn the game on its head.
But that's part of the reason why deck building is would be such a core part. I would say at that level that's no different to playing a list. That's no different to designing a list.
Yeah.
Because you would then go, you know what does my army excel at? It excels at killing things.
Yeah.
So you'd need an expansion. I think,
You would need more cards for sure,
Yeah,
which could be, a fun little, mini game in and of itself. And if you restricted it, you said, look, you've got to have a maximum of 24 cards.
Yeah.
And then that way that comes into, because in certain missions you might then get like a real strong hand off the bat, you smash your cards, but then you kind of go, well, I know what cards I've got left, and that's where the deck building comes in. You kind of go, I know what cards are in my deck because I know my deck inside out, so I can kind of hedge my bets.
Sure. Yeah. And that's very different to kind of what we're looking at now.
Sure.
But, interesting. Yeah, very interesting.
I like so refined strategy. Discarding 6 is a nice boost. Is it enough to make it competitive? No, but it's great for games and people that are using Maelstrom.
Yeah. But if you want to have fun, Maelstrom's the best.
Yeah, definitely.
Tactical Gambit will go down as one of the best games that we've ever played on this channel. Mainly because of my great theme music, but other reasons as well. It's very good fun.
The theme music was pretty bad.
Ah, come on.
It was terrible.
No. I'll sing it later.
So the third mission, segueing as always, the third mission, Strategic Gamble. This one, if you have fewer than 3 objectives, you generate 3. But it also has the little caveat of take a chance. At the start of each player's turn, after they've generated new objectives, if any, that player can choose to discard 2 of their tactical objectives to generate a new one.
Yeah.
So you discard 2 to generate 1. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about this. So if you did draw Domination, Supremacy, and something else, and you're not going to achieve Domination, Supremacy, you go, I'll discard those 2, take another one. If you achieve that new one that you replaced it with, you double the victory points.
Oh, it's the new Tactical Gambit show, but it's called Strategic Gambit. The song lives. Na 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 na. I'm done.
Okay, good. But again, it's a little tweak on a pretty simple mission. Then you've got Tactical Cascade. So this one, at the start of a player's first turn, you choose two tactical objectives at the beginning of your first turn. They automatically generate these objectives. At the start of each of their turns after the first, you must generate 2 tactical objectives for each tactical objective they achieved in the previous battle round.
Yeah.
Player cannot generate more than 6 a turn. So you kind of go, do I start looking at the board before the first turn begins? Do I go, well, I'm sat on objectives 1 and 2. I'll take those. I'll only have a 2-point lead, but then that gives me 4 objectives next turn.
Right.
You can only have a maximum of, you can only generate 6 a turn.
Yeah.
So you kind of go, do I want to start early and get that ball rolling to get more options, or do I take strong cards to start with to get lots of points, but at a risk?
Yeah. Cool.
So again, I like that.
Yep.
That one's good. That has some extra rules as well, where you lose a victory point if you have for every 3 objective markers that you still have at the end of the battle.
Wow.
So if you're holding 6 at the end of the battle, you actually lose 2
because you haven't achieved your missions.
Achieved them, yeah.
Very cool.
So again, little things. Visions of Victory. I like this one. So before the battle begins, that's refined strategy. Whenever a player is required to generate a tactical objective, and you generate 4 a turn, up to 4, you instead draw 2, and your opponent chooses which one you keep.
Oh!
The other one is
cheeky.
discarded, but can be potentially generated again later in the battle. So if you're using a deck, what I would suggest you do is you draw them 2 at a time. Yeah. Your opponent then goes that one, and they go into a discard pile, which you then reshuffle once you've sort of used all your main deck and redo it. If you're rolling dice, it doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah. But that one's fun because you could get something where it's like Kingslayer versus my like really hidden Warlord. Or like a really easy one for them to achieve. And you go, no, keep Kingslayer, but that might come and bite you.
Yeah.
So again, quite a fun sort of one to mess around with. And then the last one, Scars of Battle. At the start of the first battle round, so you generate 3 objectives, up to 3. And at the start of the first battle round, but before the first turn begins, you roll a d6. On a 1, you can't use tactical objectives 11 to 16. On a 2, 21 to 26, and so on and so forth. So you remove those from your deck, or you don't have them in the.
And are they removed forever?
Well, no, yes, you're never allowed to use them ever again.
Ever I mean, in the
game.
In this game.
You cannot use them. So that's before. So at the beginning of the first battle round,
right.
I would roll a dice. I rolled a 4, which means I can't use 41 to 46. So I would remove them from the deck. Bear in mind, I've already done refined strategy to remove another 6.
Right.
It's huge.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
So again, it's all relatively. The Maelstroms are actually quite simplistic in terms of the number of cards that you get, but it's those not weird little tweaks, but it's those extra little tweaks which are making them interesting, like making your opponent choose your objectives for you.
Yeah.
You know, things like that where you've got actually quite a smaller deck potentially. Because you might have gone, you know what, I'm going to discard the 6 army specific ones because they're not very good, and then you roll a 1 and you go, actually I've got quite a lot of options. But then you might get something where it's like, my army's like really good at like killing stuff, and then you roll a 4, which is the kill stuff objectives, and you go, oh no, I've now got to go and claim objectives. So it adds extra sort of little tweaks. So the Maelstrom I really like.
Yeah, agreed. I think they're going to be a lot of fun. Looking forward to playing them.
I do agree with you, Bone, that I think you're probably not going to see them at a competitive stage yet.
No.
Not without further tweaking.
It's something that if Games Workshop wants to explore and stuff, like I think building a deck would be pretty much, in my opinion, the way I've seen it played, the only way that you could bring them to the table and have a semblance of balance. But I mean, a lot of you and us included don't play competitive, and we don't play all the time.
No.
And when you're not, this sort of stuff's awesome.
Maelstrom's my favourite to play.
I love the cards. Always have.
I think
they are really good fun. And they do create interesting tactical decisions, because bear in mind, just because you do draw, a bad hand doesn't mean you auto lose the game. It's just in a competitive setting, it might mean that. But I think now with the Eternal War missions
being so solid.
They've nailed it there. I really think they've nailed it there.
I just love progressive scoring. I just think it's so
it works really well.
Progressive
it works really well. First strike, it's good. It's what it always should have been. But look, those are the missions. Really massive thumbs up, Games Workshop. So that's.
I think they hit the ball out of the park with those ones.
Yes, they really did.
And I will say now, before because we're going on to points next.
We are.
Okay. These are the important things that changes the game.
Yeah. Yes, big time.
These are these are
points.
literally the game changers. The points we'll touch on. But these are the things. If you're not playing these new missions, you are playing an unbalanced version of the game. I'm saying that now.
Relatively to this, I agree. I think these are the best missions they've ever produced. I really genuinely believe that. They're fantastic, and they go a long way. We've all been in a scenario where you deploy an army. Maybe you're at your friendly local gaming store, you've gone around with buddies, they wanted to try out a list, and it suddenly quickly becomes apparent that your army has absolutely no chance against theirs, just because of the mathematical imbalance that can happen with 40k. It can be a rock, paper, scissors game sometimes, through no fault of the players. So someone might have overestimated what their army can do, or someone might have underestimated it. But now, guess what? You still get to play the game, because you go, okay, well, I can't beat this list, but I can win the mission. And if you win the mission, you win the game. And so having that feeling of always being able to play for something, because I think that was the demoralising thing which happens.
And I've had that loads of times.
You go, well, I can't win this. At all. So that immediately makes it a far less interesting game if you know that you cannot win unless some, ridiculous bout of luck happens. You just know you can't win, so it's a foregone conclusion. That becomes a bit boring, right? You want to know that keep it exciting, that there's a chance. These missions provide you with that chance. So absolutely awesome.
There's just one thing that I've noticed here actually, which is quite a nice little touch from Games Workshop here. It's just the opening paragraph to New Battlefronts, which is the section for the missions. So the match play missions available in the Warhammer 40k rulebook gives players a wide range of strategic challenges, from the tightly controlled scenarios of Eternal War to the rapidly shifting battlefield challenges of Maelstrom of War. Every warlord worth their name relishes new strategic challenges, however. Tried and tested tactics must be revised, or whole new routes to victory found. Units that seemed at first glance to lack the utility you desired suddenly come into their own as their abilities on the tabletop are proved invaluable. And on the following pages you'll find just a range of exciting new opportunities to crush your foes. And I think that really hammers home this philosophy of them going, you know what, actually, tabling is not good for the game.
Yeah, it's not. Yeah, it's not.
Yeah, and they've been working on that for a while.
I think they have.
Yeah.
With things like
Prepared positions,
and you know they've continued it, and I think this is the best job they've done at it so far.
Yes,
100%.
by 100%. Like honestly, well done.
Yeah, and it starts to make the last FAQ that they released much more apparent.
As to why it was so small.
To why it was so small. Because
Yeah,
it's already here. So look, that's the missions. I know that there's going to be plenty of you that are literally gagging at the bit here for the actual points.
Yeah.
So let's start covering the points. That's coming up next. Folks, it's points time. It's the points time. I'm sure you've all been waiting for this time. So what we're going to do is we'll break this up into little segments. So we're going to cover Adeptus Custodes, Astra Militarum, and Blood Angels.
And Adeptus Mechanicus.
And Adeptus Mechanicus.
You missed out literally half a page.
I did, yeah.
Yeah, page at a time, apart from this.
Don't worry, Mechanicus did get points drops.
Yeah.
So we'll cover those 4 to begin with, and then we'll cover the next 4 and the next 4. Now we're not going to cover every single points change because that is
illegal.
Yes.
To put it bluntly.
Exactly, and also it would just take a
forever.
tremendous amount of time.
There's a lot of change because this includes the points values from 2017 as well.
Yes.
So if you're not using the chapter approved for the missions for 2017, you don't really need it anymore because all the updated match play rules, all the updated points are in here.
Yeah, exactly.
You don't need 2017 unless you want those missions and the narrative stuff that's in there.
Yeah.
So I'll still be keeping it,
of course,
because it's got extra missions. We've now got like 36 missions to choose
plus
from
the
in match
narrative
play,
stuff,
plus all the narrative stuff. So you know.
Okay, so why don't we kick off with Custodes? Obviously, not a wide range of units to pick from, but from the units that they have, we have seen points drops, haven't we? Namely, for all of the named characters across all of the factions, actually, we've seen some really sweeping drops.
Huge drops.
You know, in some
Massive.
cases, massive drops. If we kick off with Trajan Valorous, I forget exactly how many points he was.
I mean, I'm not going to go hunting for the books.
I think it was in the region.
He was 240. I think
that's what I was literally about to say.
Yeah, he's like 185.
He's you know, that's a significant points drop, guys. Yeah,
and he's such a beast.
And he is a beast.
But that's a similar thing that you see across the board is, you know, we're not talking like 10, 15 points on a lot of characters. We're talking like 25 to 30% points drops.
Yeah.
On a lot of them.
Which is huge because it gives you that much more to spend on, you know, troops, on your heavy weapons or special weapons, which also have pretty much taken points drops across the board.
Like significant points drops for some of them. For some of them, you'll probably go, oh yeah, it'll save me like a few points in a list, depending on how you've built your list as well. Exactly. But there's some things where you go, actually, you know what? In this army, I've suddenly got an extra 70 points from all the heavy weapons and special weapons which have gotten cheaper, which is not an insignificant amount.
It's not. It's really not. Shield Captain's gone down. The Alaris Custodians have gone down. The Wardens have gone down. Not tremendous amounts of points. I think we're looking between 5 and 10 points a time. The Shield Captain, I think, has gone down a more significant amount.
Yeah, I think the Shield Captain's gone down by about 30-40 points. Again, without looking and comparing it, you know, I would have loved to have done like a proper like Excel spreadsheet and just gone like, here's the comparison, and like so that we've got a bit more of an idea. But we're just going off pure guesstimate here. But I think if you're using pure Custodes, you'll be able to fit some actual infantry in now.
Yes.
Yeah. Your bikes haven't changed.
No, bikes have stayed the same, which I think is probably fair enough. Probably.
Maybe a little bit of an increase was
Would you put an increase on?
But then that's more of a problem with allies and soups, which we'll touch on later.
Yes, exactly. But then having said that, because everything else has gone down, it's a weird thing that's happened in this chapter approved, which I'll cover on just momentarily with Astra Militarum. But yeah, that's Custodes. The Land Raider has gone down. It's a venerable Land Raider.
Yep.
In fact, all Land Raiders have gone down.
Quite a significant amount.
Yeah, I think you're looking at around 300 points for a fully decked Land Raider now, as opposed to before it was like
380 or
360. Yeah.
So I mean,
it's still quite expensive because I think the twin las cannons have gone down from 50 points to 20 points now.
But not for Adeptus Custodes.
Oh, really?
But that's because it's a venerable Land Raider, so it's hitting on like 2s.
Right.
I think it's hitting on 2s, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is.
So that's probably why theirs has stayed at 50.
Yeah.
But every other normal Marines has gone down to 40.
That's right. Twin multi-melters have gone down to 40 as well, the same as the twin las cannon now, which I think is quite nice.
Missile launchers have gone down. So plasma guns have gone down. Flamers have gone down. Melter guns have gone down. Like this is across the board.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter really what army
on any
you're running.
faction.
Yeah.
Chaos. Normal Space Marines, whatever. So, okay, let's kick off with Mechanicus next.
So Stig's very happy.
Yeah, these have got some big old changes.
Yeah. He's got so many more points.
It's actually a ridiculous amount. I'm going to preface it now, guys. I'm still pretty salty. Like, so when we first got this, I was real salty.
This is the third time we filmed this, actually.
I was real salty. But now that I've had a bit more time, sort of like with a bit more perusal.
Yeah. And you've not played
I've not played any games yet.
First today.
So this is just talking from my sort of initial input.
Yeah.
Necrons aren't better, guys. We'll touch Necrons.
Yeah, we don't agree with
but
that.
Adeptus Mechanicus, I mean, Stig's got something like an extra 300 points now.
Yeah. He does. Depending on what his build is. I mean, Priest is still the same.
I think his Heat Free list has dropped like something like to 1,450 points.
The 50s robots have gone down.
Yeah.
The 1950 space robots have gone down.
I think the chickens have gone down.
No, he said that they'd stayed the same.
I thought their weapons have gone down, which makes them cheaper.
The weapons gone down.
I think the weapons have gone down by like a couple points.
Yeah, it's not a massive amount.
Yeah, it's not a massive point, but again, it builds up. If you were running 4 or 5, all of a sudden you've got an extra across. Sort of depending on the weapons that you've got.
But I think the Castellan fists have gone down as well. So
they've actually dropped.
Bots,
yeah, because they're
a lot more. Because I always loved them.
What were they before? The fists?
I think the fist was something ridiculous, like 30, 40 points.
So
like
they're 25 now for the fists. So actually, punchy bots are probably almost as viable as the phosphor bots.
Yeah, I mean, don't quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure it has gone down when I first read it.
Again, this is what you're going to see a lot of is war gear changes, maybe not necessarily unit changes.
Right,
but Mechanicus, however, did get a lot of.
They did. Well, the servitors, the destroyers,
the breaches and destroyers are significantly cheaper.
Points drops, which is they needed that.
And now with that stratagem, actually, you might see them popping up again.
Yes.
Which is nice.
The chickens were significantly cheaper.
Yeah.
Which was so good.
They were good anyway.
Yeah.
I think your infiltrators and Rostalkers are cheaper.
Yeah.
Your characters are cheaper.
Yeah. Rangers and Vanguard have remained the same from the last points decrease that they had.
I think they're the same.
Belisarius Call, massive drop down from like 250 or 240
he was 250.
Yeah.
And then he went to 240, and now he's like he's sub 200. He's 192.
Exactly. So
there's been some pretty big changes for them, and I know Stig is very happy.
Yeah.
Again, without looking at it
properly and comparing it properly, I couldn't say 100%, but I'm sure.
Twin Cognis las cannons now 40 points.
Yeah, so you stick them on a
so it's the same as a normal Imperial las, twin las.
So that means a Ballistari with the twin las cannons is 80 points, and I think before they were like 110.
Yeah, I mean that's bargain basement now, guys.
So you now, if you were running 3, have another one.
Yeah.
And 10 points to spare.
Yeah, it's really cool.
So you're talking quite a significant change for them.
Yeah, so Mechanicus are back in a big way.
They're definitely winners of this.
Big time.
Big winners of this.
Right, now we have Astra Militarum. Now, Astra Militarum have seen... now, you calm down now. Astra Militarum have seen points drops.
Yep.
I don't see anything which has gone up in points. Now, I don't have an issue with that at all. I think, some of the tanks comparatively, because compared to, when things like Knights came out and other things, you could argue, well, actually, all right, they could do with a bit of a points drop. So, mainly what you're seeing is your weapons have gone down on all of the tanks. Things like the Exterminator autocannons, the Eradicator Nova cannon,
Vanquisher,
that sort of jazz. And we're talking like 5 to 10 points you know, as an average.
If you're running a pure Astra Militarum army, you're going to have probably another like 20 guys or another tank, maybe.
Which is great. I think that's really cool. Well,
you know, which I don't have a massive issue with.
But the basic guardsmen, company commanders haven't gone up in points. Now, the reason we mention this is because of the infamous Loyal 32. For those of you that don't know what that is, it's 2 company commanders and 3 units of 10 guardsmen. Very popular as Catachan at the moment. And that touches on the point which I've got, which I'm about to make, is that the basic guardsman is still the same points as what he was before. Now, which is 4 points a model. Now, the issue with that is that the Loyal 32 is the exact same points, so it's still very much a plug and play build if you just need 5 command points. But also the Catachans themselves, when they've got a priest nearby them, fight, you know, arguably as well as Space Marines. Granted, they don't have the saves, but guards with their orders, which are another free thing that guard get, which is cool. It's good. Guard should have those things, and the regimental doctrines. You know, Catachans are strength 4, right? And then with the priest, they're all rerolling their hits. It all starts to become crazy. For their points, they do an incredible amount of work. Now, that wouldn't actually be an issue because everything else now, and this is why I'm digesting it more and I'm going, well, is it so much of an issue? But I'll explain why I think it is still a small issue. Because everything else, most other people's troops or units' weapons have gone down. So now they're getting a lot more, and the guard have effectively stayed the same, but they've saved some points on their guns. So at that point you're like, okay, cool. But, and I know we're jumping ahead very briefly here, cultists have gone up a point.
And the reason for that is because you can give them veterans of the Long War and make them immune to morale, whereas Astra Militarum kind of go, well, we've got orders.
Yeah, and that's free. At least with veterans of the Long War, I have to spend a CP on it.
Yeah.
So I think unless they, and this is the thing, again, I'm going to caveat this by saying, unless they re-release some of these earlier codexes,
which they'll need to,
which I think at this point they actually almost. They really need to, you know, for Space Marines and for Chaos Space Marines in particular, and Grey Knights, to be honest, in particular. Chaos now are that much worse in comparison with the Imperium in general, which I think is a bit sad, because the cultists have effectively been, you know, I know it's only a point increase, but when you compare to, that's the chaff of Chaos armies. Now the chaff of Imperium armies is exactly the same, which relatively against Chaos makes it much better, which is, I think, a mistake. I think I would have liked to have seen Guardsmen go up 1 point.
I would have liked to have seen Guardsmen go up a point, especially in conjunction with the fact that they've received war gear drops. It actually probably would have kept them roughly the same. All it would have hurt would have been plug-in and allies. Because I know that was a big concern with a lot of people, if you just keep increasing the points on things like Guardsmen, that hurts pure Guards players.
Yeah, which you don't want to do.
But by reducing the points on all the other stuff, especially their war gear, rather than just going, oh, well, because we've put up Guardsmen by a point, we'll decrease Layman Russes by 30.
Yeah.
It's more along the lines of, because a plasma gun has gone down by like 3 points or 2 points, whatever it is, a mounted gun's gotten down by 3 points, a missile launcher's gone down by 3 points or 5 points. You know, those are the things where it'll add up, not by just knee-jerking it in the other way. The only people that it would have hurt would have been the soup armies. Now, ironically, I'm actually going to say, in conjunction with the new missions, Knight players almost need to soup now.
I was going to say that too.
Yeah, and so this is why the more you read it, the more you go,
okay,
interesting. You know, it might not, because we can't, like, having played 2 games and read this a few times now, we can't really compare the game to what it was.
It's a different game.
It's a different game now.
This is 8.1.
This is really uncharted territory.
Yeah, so...
Come on the voyage.
Yeah, so this is why I won't make a statement and say, oh, well, this is really wrong. They should have definitely increased the Guardsmen. But I will say that that's my opinion for the moment. That I think they should have increased them 1 point, because, as you say, rightfully, the Astra Militarum would have stayed the same, because by the time they saved the points
on the
tanks and everything, they would be in the same spot.
Yeah,
and pure Astra Militarum is still good.
Yeah, Pure Guardsmen are in a better place than they were.
Yeah.
And they were already very good.
Yeah, and that's good. Like, because I love Guard, I want to see them, do well. But the issue is if it becomes an auto includes to plug and play it, if you're going to do an Imperial army, and the Chaos auto include is generally cultists, they've been nerfed. You haven't.
Yeah.
We've got to look at this. We've got to be determined here, guys. Like the Chaos should be on an equal footing with you. Like a cultist should be 4 points of a Guardsman's.
Well, I mean,
especially
personally, I think the cultist should have a complete profile overview. It shouldn't be Heretic Astartes because it's not.
Yes,
he should be hitting on 5s in both because he's just a rabble rouser. Right. He should have a t-shirt save, if no save at all. But he should also be like 3 points. He should be.
You could make
cultist
it
should be cheaper.
Sort of
cultist should be cheaper, but basically rubbish and have no like stratagem or psychic support, but they're there to just go, I'm going to throw 40 guards, 40 bodies at you, and just go, we're going to use them to hold the objectives because they're super cheap.
I'm with you on that to an extent. I also like the idea of traitor guardsmen though. Like if you read the Gaunt's Ghosts and like things like the Blood Pact, like they are trained Chaos Astra Militarum effectively.
But the Blackstone Fortress match play rules for traitor guardsmen are 5 points.
Yeah.
And they are a guardsman stat line.
Yeah.
Without access to orders, without access to this,
any of this cool stuff.
They don't have the Heretic Astartes keyword.
No.
Now I know that they're probably not going to be really balanced for match play, but it was like that should be a good indication that if that's your profile, that's what you need to use. But I mean, all of this could have been avoided by just adding in a new match play role of saying your warlord determines your strategies, or you command points generated from detachments can only be used by those detachments. Because that would at least remove the fun. And then that way you're taking the guardsman as a knight player to help you with the objectives rather than just going to make the knights better.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. Now, I'll touch a little bit more on why I think there is a little bit of a disparity between the Imperium, and when I say Imperium, I'm specifically talking about mixed Imperium, so multiple Imperial detachments mixed together, versus the Chaos. When we touch on the Chaos, because we haven't touched on Marines or Chaos yet in general, but that's the first part. We'll cover. I know we said we'll cover. Well, let's finish off with Blood Angels.
Well, I would say we take a break because Blood Angel. A lot of the changes to Blood Angels are going to apply to all the Marines.
Yeah. All right. So next, then we'll cover all of the Marines. Okay, that's coming up next. Right, folks, this will be a hot topic, I'm sure. This is Adeptus Astartes, so we're going to cover Blood Angels.
Right, so...
We will skip ahead to Space Wolves, Dark Angels.
I would say we...
Grey Knights we'll cover separately because they've always been in their own sort of...
And I would say we cover Death Watch separately
as well. Agreed. Those elite armies we will cover separately.
So there's going to be lots of flicking backwards and forwards here. So again, if you're not reading it yourself and following along, go out and actually get it.
Right, the two major highlights I want to kick off with is that Intercessors are down a point again. So the Primaris are even better. Now that's just the Intercessors. But the rest of the Primaris have also gone down. Repulsor's gone down. I think a Repulsor might be something like 80 points cheaper now.
Significantly cheaper.
Yeah, it's...
Repulsors now are very interesting.
Very interesting.
They're actually good.
Yes.
They were
actually good.
They were just a bit too expensive.
The rules were good, but the points were too much.
Yeah. Whereas now...
Now it's interesting.
Yeah. It's going to be very good.
So we've got a friend called Joe.
Yeah, I was about to say.
His Blood
he's going to be.
His list just got super hot.
I mean,
and you know what? It was actually quite good.
It was a strong list.
Yeah, it was.
Because it was 3 Repulsors and just
3 units of Primaris,
which is a rarity.
Intercessors. He was. He was doing a pure effect. He had one Smash Captain, but he converted him to look Primaris, which is awesome.
Which is cool.
Yeah.
But I mean,
so he's going to be getting.
He's almost going to be able to fit in a Redemptor.
Yeah.
Because with the Redemptor receiving a points drop as well.
Yeah. It's a good time for Primaris.
It's a good time for Primaris.
How about those tactical Marines, guys?
No. It's not a good time for
No, it's bad time for you.
They stayed the same.
They stayed the same. They stayed the same.
So
Scouts say the same.
Yeah, Scouts say the same. So I had a feeling that this might happen actually.
So did I.
Let's be honest. GW is moving away from tactical Marines.
You're not going to see any new tactical Marine releases anytime soon.
I would highly doubt it. I think they've not officially said that.
They've not officially said that.
This is hyperbole now. This is hearsay. Really.
Sure.
This is literally a rumour.
Yeah. However, when you look at this,
Yeah.
And then you look what's going on, especially there's some stuff in
Invictus
the
Defiance.
stuff in here
Yeah.
as well, which is really lends to, again, looking at Primaris Marines.
Yes.
It
Very much so.
I would be very surprised. Okay, let me rephrase that.
Sure.
If they suddenly brought out a whole new range of TAC Marines.
So
So my advice based on what I'm seeing in front of me, and again, this is not coming from anywhere else, is if you are a Space Marines player and you've been avoiding Primaris because you want to stoically hold on to your tactical Marines, while I admire your your tenacity and your stoic attitude, it might be time to start considering Primaris.
Yes.
And actually,
Well, you can carry on with your scouts, which I know a lot of Marine players have been relying on.
Scouts are great, but I mean, especially Blood Angels, intercessors are really good now.
Yes.
They're like because of the red thirst, the points drop.
Yeah. Aggressors going down as well.
Aggressors going down, but it's even just the 2 wounds of pop. They're bolters, which have a minus
I'm pretty
one.
sure they did. Yeah.
Yeah,
But you guys carry on. I'm just
Yeah,
going to check.
Yeah. I actually think now Primaris are becoming interesting.
Yeah, Primaris are becoming interesting. So if you are a Marine player, this is awesome news because we've got some potential builds now which I think will get you back on the tabletop in a more fierce way than before, because the Marines were definitely in a little bit of struggle city previously. But your basic Marines are probably not that valid. Having said that, a lot of the equipment's gone down. Things like the Storm Raven now have come down because I think we saved like 40 odd points on a Storm Raven now, which is good.
Yeah.
What? What's wrong?
No, it's fine. I think it was just me being derpy derp. I was like, well, Blood Angels aggressors haven't gone down, but Space Marine aggressors have gone down. Oh, Space Marine aggressors have gone down to what Blood Angels aggressors are.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yeah. So overall, probably time to start adopting the Primaris variants. The scout will still hold true to what he's been doing for Marine players, and all of your support vehicles have gone down in points, so that is a good thing. So you can still play that old school style, and this is only for if you want to play a slightly higher match play game, you're playing a bit harder and you're trying to optimize a little bit more. But in terms of the basic Marines, it's not a good story. That's the same for, and this is the thing where it spills across. It's across the board.
Yep.
Now, Grey Hunters and Blood Claws were already better than the basic Marines in my opinion.
They're still better.
And they're still better. They haven't changed in points.
Nope.
But they are still better.
Yeah.
They're the same from what I can see.
But with the Space Wolves players now, it'd be quite interesting to see, do they still hold on to the Grey Hunters and Blood Claws, or do they start adopting the Primaris trainers?
Well, again, it's almost like, a Grey Hunter is better than a normal Marine for the same points, right? Well, for 4 points more, you can make that Grey Hunter an aggressor, who is essentially exactly the same as that Grey Hunter with an extra wound.
Yeah.
The same number of attacks in combat because he doesn't have a chainsword, but he just has 2 attacks.
Yeah.
And a better bolt gun.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't get the special weapons. Now that's obviously the difference with the intercessors, but that's why you have your support vehicles. And I would be highly surprised if new Primaris stuff isn't going to be coming out in the next 3 to 6 months.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me.
And then at the moment, Devastated Squads are still valid and stuff like that, and Long Fangs and all that sort of stuff. So you should be able to fill it out.
Yeah.
I think intercessors are big winners in this.
Yeah.
And they only get better when you start looking at specialist attachments, which we'll get to.
Now, all of your characters have gone down as well, apart from Gilliman, who's remained the same.
Yeah, good.
But all of the Blood Angel characters, like, how much is Dante now?
Dante is 175 now.
Yeah.
Mephiston's 160.
Yeah, so Dante was like 220 before.
Yeah, so again, those significant points drops on the name characters.
Yeah. So we're in a much better space than we were for Marines. It's just the normal Marines aren't.
What about Death Company? Did we get any changes there?
Has the basic cost of a Death Company Marine gone down? I don't think it did when I read.
Doesn't look like it.
Okay, fair enough.
Doesn't look like it. No.
Things like Thunderhammers.
No, Thunder Hammers haven't
Stayed the
changed.
same.
Storm Shields
Storm
have
Shields
dropped.
have dropped.
Yes,
They're
right.
quite
That's another
cheap
thing.
now.
They're cheap.
I don't- if you're not a character, they're 2 points. I
Yeah, but
think.
even for a character, they're 5 points cheaper.
Yeah, which
So your
is-
Smash captains are actually cheaper than the
They're
Rebel.
cheaper. Yeah, they're 5 points cheaper. Because your normal captain in a
And they're
jump pack
normal
hasn't
Marines, to be fair.
changed.
So that's
Yeah, that's cool.
Your dreadnoughts have dropped.
Dreadnoughts are
Yeah.
cool.
Right now, dreadnoughts are seriously interesting now. They're not, tearing up the battlefield all of a sudden, but because they're so cheap,
Yeah. You can have quite a lot of them, actually.
it's easy to plug in 3. It's just go, yeah, there's 3 dreads.
Yeah.
The twin las cannon only being 40 points. Dreadnought close combat weapon down from 42 to like 32 now.
It's 30 now.
Yeah,
For
but
Dreadnought
two with the storm bolter. Sorry.
Yeah.
Because you have to buy that, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
So it's all of a sudden, but mainly their base cost has gone down. So I think you get something like a dreadnought with twin las and a combat weapon, so he's good at shooting and he's good at fighting.
Yeah.
For under 150 points.
He's 130 points.
Yeah.
They are
60 points base now for a dread.
And I love my lucky dreads.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, and obviously
Now-
Venerables and Contemptors and Redemptors have dropped by
Yeah.
an appropriate amount as well.
Yeah. Exactly.
Nappy Dreadnought lives.
Yeah. So right, I mean, are there any other changes? It's like the Thunderbolt Cavalry,
there's-
the Wolfen?
No, they're all the
Yeah.
There's a lot of changes, but because it's kind of a lot of the same changes.
spills over.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
pretty
it does
much
spill over.
highlighted
Yeah.
the majority.
Dark
I
Angel
think-
just got some changes with their
Right, Raven
special-
Wing have
Yeah.
gone down.
Ravenwing have gone down.
Yeah, Deathwing have let's talk Terminators. I knew we were missing
Oh
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
Terminator.
So Ravenwing, Deathwing, Terminators.
Okay. So Terminators in general, I
Right.
would say. They're still too expensive.
Yeah.
They've received a points drop.
Yeah.
You've got Power Fists are now 4 points cheaper. They're like 9 points
Yeah.
for a Power Fist.
Great.
Stormbolt is still 2 points.
Yeah.
The base Terminator is 23.
Yeah.
So they're now 34 points. Still too expensive,
Yeah. It's
in my opinion.
no. Look, I don't disagree. I think it's a
because the thing is, you can get 2 intercessors.
You can have exactly 2 intercessors for that.
for that.
and that's double
You have
the
double the
wounds.
wounds,
Double
less
the wounds,
armor save,
which
no
in-
invuln.
Yeah, but in cover they've got the same armor save. Although I suppose you could argue, but Terminator in cover would have an even better save. So I
Yeah,
mean, perhaps
yeah.
that's a false economy. But
Sure.
but
But it's the fact that you do 2 wounds worth of damage. If you're shooting at Terminators, you're shooting at them with high AP weaponry anyway.
yeah.
So once those 2 wounds go, you've got no shots.
So the Storm Shields have gone down. Could we see a return of Thunderhammer, Storm Shield, Terminator bombs?
Doubt it, because Thunderhammer's still 16 points. So that makes us
Is it 13 or 16?
16 for a Thunderhammer.
Wow. Okay.
So that makes them 41 points. I think it's because I'm not seeing a Thunderhammer changed in here.
No.
So they obviously haven't changed it as a code, so I'm sure that they're 16.
Right.
So that means that they are 41 points for a Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminator, which is still a bit cheaper, but not much. We're talking like 8 points there.
Yeah, tough one. I mean, yeah, initial reaction is you'd probably look at Primaris instead.
Yeah.
To be honest.
If you're going shooting
Which is a
Terminators,
shame.
because their guns have more range.
Yeah.
If you do 2 wounds to a Terminator squad, not only is it more points lost if you're looking at the pure number cruncher, but you lose the Stormbolter entirely.
Yeah.
If you do 2 wounds to an Intercessor squad, which admittedly is probably easy to do because of the less armor save and invuln,
Yeah.
but they just lose 1 bolt rifle, so they still have half the amount of shots that they could do
Yeah.
at
now,
longer range and at better AP.
there is one thing that I was going to say, and this will hopefully Space Marine fans that do have lots of their original Space Marines, maybe you've got loads of Marines all painted up beautifully, and that's why you've not been jumping onto the Primaris too much. There is actually one thing you can rejoice about. All of the veterans have gone down in points. And in fact, they're how many points extra than a normal Marine? I think it's only like
1
2.
point.
It's 1, yeah.
They are 14 points for a Stone Guard.
And when you can equip them with things like, Stormbolter, special weapons, whatever it may be, all of a sudden, they are really quite points efficient. Now, here's the thing.
Okay, so a Stone Guard I think would be 16 points because of the special issue bulk gun.
Yes, yeah.
So-
Now, here's the thing. What you could do, and this is what I would do with the Marines, and it also fluff-wise, it kind of makes sense in the progression. Imagine that, so we've already established that it's possible through surgery for basic Marines to become Primaris now. However, what if these Marines are veterans and for whatever reason they were too old or they'd sustained injuries that would mean that they couldn't survive the surgery? You could do them all now as veterans. And in the Primaris, your new wave.
Yeah.
So it's just a way that you could maybe play those.
It's actually in one of the Dark Angels heresy books. There's a character who it's exactly the same thing happens, but he can't become a space marine.
Yes.
They augment his body.
Yeah.
And they make it, and so but so there's this point where
I think that's Luther himself.
Yeah. So he's like, it is, isn't it?
Luther and Corferon
and
are
so,
like the only human space marines.
But I mean, they're big guys, but like compared to space marines, and he's running a war council, and they're all kind of looking down at him. So that's it.
So that's actually really cool.
Yeah.
But so look, that's Marines in general. Terminators, I'm not sold on yet. No, right. What about though the Deathwing? Let's talk the Raven Wing and the Deathwing.
Okay.
Because the Deathwing, whilst the Deathwing Terminator, I think is about the same points.
The Deathwing Terminator is still 23 points.
Normal Marines.
In terms of normal Marine.
What about the awesome Shield and
the Knights?
Yeah.
So they are 35 base.
Okay.
Your Storm Shield's obviously gone down a bit, so it's now only 2 points. That's 37. I don't know how much their maces are. I don't know what they're called.
Right.
Let me have a...
They were a good combat unit. They were just too expensive.
They were,
before.
but I mean, you're probably looking at around about the same
points as a Thunderhammer Storm Shield Terminator. I mean, if they're 37 points without the weapon, unless the weapon's free, which it might be because they're the only unit that can take it.
Yes.
So, I mean...
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't... Yeah, I'm not... Yeah. Not sure on Deathwing. I mean, things like Venerable Dreadnoughts and stuff, which I know would be Deathwing, have gone down. But Raven Wing, on the other hand...
So your Raven Wing bikes are 21 points, same as normal bikes.
Yep.
Your Raven Wing Black Knights are 38, so 40 with the Bolter.
Yeah. And how many points were they before
not Bolter,
that?
sorry, they have a Plasma Talon, which is...
The Plasma Talon was free.
So it's still 38,
yeah.
And they had the pickaxe thing.
Yeah, which was also free.
So they're 38 points for a Black Knight.
That's cheaper.
It is
but
cheaper.
Not much.
I think that they were like 42 or 44 before.
Not sure.
I think they were closer to 50, you know.
Really?
Again,
let's find out.
We're going to have a quick look.
Let's find out, because that's an interesting one. Now, I will say right off the bat, there's a really cool formation for Raven Wing as well.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited about playing for you here on the channel. But let's just see.
Whilst you're looking for that,
as
you touched on with the Custodes, your Land Raiders are cheaper.
Yeah.
So a base Land Raider chassis is like 200 points now.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
So your basic Land Raider with your twin heavy bolter, which is what, 10 points for a twin heavy bolter, and 2 twin las cannons, is 290 points.
Okay.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
You know, it's still quite expensive. I mean, you know, at that point you may as well go, well, for an extra 60 points I'll take a knight.
Yeah.
I can't transport anything, but I'll just take a knight.
They were 46 points before, by the way.
Okay, so an 8-point drop.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
It's about the same as... I mean, how much was a Deathwing Knight?
Deathwing Knights were... things like the Deathwing Ancient, all of your characters would have gone down.
Yeah, all your characters... Generally, characters have gone down.
Deathwing Knights were 250 points for 5, so they were 50 points a model.
So they've actually received a fairly significant drop. Depends on... because I'm assuming their weapon was free.
Yeah.
I'm assuming their weapon was free. So they've actually dropped by 13 points.
That's quite significant.
That is significant, actually.
I think that they could be... I think a combined Raven Wing, Deathwing force could be suddenly interesting.
Semi-viable again?
Yeah, I'm not going to say it's competitive or anything, but it's
you'll get a bit more bang for your buck.
Straight Raven Wing, I mean, obviously you're going to suffer from not having all of the CP from a battalion, but you could rock some Dark Angel Scouts or whatever.
Yeah.
Or some Intercessors now.
Land
I think they could be interesting because Land Speeders have taken a massive drop.
Yeah.
Massive.
So again, that sort of ties in with the Raven Wing and across the board.
Yeah.
Your flyery type stuff, like those sorts of gun platform-esque things are a bit cheaper.
So,
all in all, for Marines, you're going to see some points drops for your war gear. You're going to see a few choice units dropped. If you're running pure non-Primaris Marines,
you're not getting the 25% points reduction that the
No.
rumour sites were saying you were going to get.
No.
You're getting maybe an extra 100 points, depending on your army.
On your war gear loadout. Yeah.
Which, again, is going to be so dependent, and this sort of, when we go back to the Blood Angel section, which leads on to the Chaos section, it's the same for them.
So we're going to cover Chaos now?
Well, I mean,
let's finish with Chaos.
We could go to Chaos, but
because we've covered the main Marines.
It's the idea of your weapons have gotten cheaper.
Yes.
I think your units are pretty much the same, or so minimal that you won't really notice. Like, I mean, you could be looking at an army and go, "Well, I've got 24 points to spend. What can I do that on? Like nothing." You know?
So this is the problem. Now we can finish off with the Chaos Space Marines between the Imperium and the Chaos disparity.
Yes.
Now we're touched on Thousand Suns and Death Guard separately.
Because they are quite separate, and we'll touch on demons.
And they
separately.
are different, and we'll touch on demons separately. But the Chaos Space Marines, the basic Chaos Marine, is exactly the same points, whilst your cultists have gone up.
Yep.
Does that mean that I'm now going to see what I've always wanted to see, which is Chaos Space Marines and a Chaos Army? No, not currently. The Chaos Marine is unfortunately just not good in comparison with the Imperial Primaris Storm, which is probably about to happen, and your cheap chaff, which is what Chaos Marines were running, has just gotten more expensive. Now, your support vehicles, if you are like Black Legion player, pure want to do pure faction, Night Lords or whatever, has all gone down. Hellbrutes now a lot cheaper, just like the Imperial Dreadnoughts.
I think your Helldrake's gone down.
Helldrake has gone down.
It's 120 base now.
Yeah, and the Bale Flamer. How much is the Bale Flamer?
I think the Bale Flamer is like 30 something points. That's
Yes.
not in here, so I'm assuming your Bale Flamer stayed about the same, which I think
You still
might be
dropped
30,
about 35 points.
but you still saved a fair number of points.
So the Helldrake now, to be fair, which as you guys probably know, I've got 3 in my World Eaters army. The Helldrake, for that points cost, I feel a lot more comfortable about. I wasn't a huge fan of the Helldrake before. He wasn't bad, but he was just too much for his points. Now he's still not bad, but at least he's cheaper.
Yeah. He's...
and the Hellbrutes for the World Eaters are much better.
Hellbrutes are much better.
The Kaitan has also dropped dramatically. He's dropped like 100 points.
I'm just a bit concerned about what I've just seen here, which is Chaos Terminators are still 28 points in comparison to the Imperial one of 23.
Really?
That's a boo-boo.
Okay.
I mean, the thing is, this is what I think you're going to see, looking at like the points for Chaos Space Marines. Those people that are running Chaos Cultists are going to still run Chaos Cultists. They're just going to have less points to spend.
You have to.
If you actually want power armored Chaos Space Marines, you're going to be running Raptors because they're cheaper.
Yeah.
You're going to be running You're going to be running Chosen because they're like 1 point more than a normal Marine.
Yeah. So you just make your normal Marines.
Or you're going to be running, and this will tie into Death Guard. You're going to be running Plague Marines for 16 points a model.
Yes, because they've gone down in points.
Mm.
And Rubrica have gone down as well.
Yeah, I mean, bear in mind you still have to pay for the warp bolter that they have, or whatever it's called. Yeah, it's got a points cost. I'm sure it does. Not here, but it does in the book.
We can check that.
We'll check that, but I'm sure you pay points for it. But a Rubrica is 16 points base now.
Yeah.
Your Plague Marine is 16 points. Now, a Plague Marine is 16 points, has a bolter and a Plague Knife. Okay, sure. Like, if you're running a non-Death Guard army, they're not a troop's choice, but you still can just go, I'll just take them if I want Marines.
Yeah.
For an extra few points. Because they actually kind of act like Marines would on the fluff. They're tough and they just don't die.
Yes.
Yeah. I love the Death Guard.
Yeah,
I think
really
they play really good. You can actually, speaking of, because we've released with the Sisters game.
Yeah.
It's actually we're playing against Death Guard, and I take them for a spin.
Yeah.
And they're nasty now.
Yeah.
They're really nasty.
And they were already close to being quite good before.
Yeah, but there's and I don't run it nearly as optimized as you could make it, but there's some really interesting stuff that happens.
One thing I think we do need to mention as well is the Corn Lord of Skulls.
Right.
Because that I remember looking at has become a far more interesting option. So it's gone down to 380.
380 base.
But things like the Gore Storm cannon, which was 74 points before, and the Hades Gatling cannon, which were 184 points, I'm pretty sure have gone down.
They are identical. They have not changed.
The Hades Gatling cannon?
Hades autocannon.
That's a different gun.
That's a very different gun. That's the only Hades. And Gorestorm, there is nothing in here beginning with G. So they've not actually changed all that much at all.
So maybe it's just the base cost then. So the Hades Gatling cannon's still 184 points. I could have sworn that it had actually
Hades Gatling cannon is not here.
Okay, interesting. So if let's have a look. So before the old loadout used to be like 638 points. Yeah. So 638 minus
380 for the base.
380. Oh, 638 minus 380.
Yeah.
Yeah, 258 points.
And it's 184 for the Gorse for the Hades.
Yes.
So take away 184.
Yeah.
74. So it's identical.
So it's exactly the same. Strange.
So again,
the Kaitan has gone down.
The Kaitan's
that's what I'm thinking of. It's the Kaitan's gun that's gone down.
It's a different gun.
Yeah.
So again,
it's also
at that point,
something.
as fun as the Lord of Skulls is, because you've got the Chaos Knights in here, just use them.
Yeah.
They're better. If you want super heavy things running around, take 2 Knights for the cost of a Corn.
I feel they should have reduced the points on that Corn Lord of Skulls.
It's the fact that
it's way too expensive.
The guns are being nigh on like a third of his cost when it's the only thing that can use the guns. Just make his base points like 600, but then his guns are free.
Yeah,
you know? I mean, even then, that's probably too much.
You compare him to like a Valiant, and you go,
why?
I suppose the Valiant is 604, 600 and.
Well, he was 604.
Sorry, the Castellan rather.
He was 600.
Right, okay. Well, we'll touch on Knights very, very shortly.
Yeah.
But look, Chaos Space Marines overall, support units have gone down, las cannons, all that sort of jazz.
Yeah, again,
Predators,
depending on how you ran your army.
Defiler, any good change there?
He's
120 base
120 base. Battle cannon, I think, was free.
Yeah.
So, I mean, again,
he's got like 12 different weapons on him, so I'm not sure 100%, but I mean, he looks cheaper.
Yeah, he does appear cheaper, doesn't he? I know the Forge Fiend's gone down quite significantly because those Hades auto cannons have gone down.
Well, the Hades auto cannons are 20 points now.
Yeah, so I think he's taken like a 45 point decrease.
Yeah, 2 of them on a Forge Fiend is 140 points now.
Yeah, that's quite an interesting
it's a decent little guard
option
platform.
when you can use Demon Forge.
Yeah. I think your Mauler Fiend's still going to be better.
Yeah, and the reality is as well that the stratagems and the core mechanics of Chaos
they're just not
still
very good.
Yeah, he's
Same
still only BS4. I mean, and you can, so if you wanted to take 3 of them, you can activate Demon Forge on 1, but the other 2 are still going to be hitting on 4s.
Yes.
It's not, and then if there's any minus involved, it's far worse. So it's not super reliable, which is a shame because I feel that those unique Chaos units people should want to see them, and when people bring them against you as an Imperial player, you should be like, oh, I've got to deal with those demon engines. They're nasty. Yeah. Now it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't really care. No. But having said that, they are cheaper now. Perhaps the Mauler Fiend and Helldrake will be, a little bit more interesting. World Eaters, Berserkers, they have remained the same.
Yeah, they were good anyway.
Yeah, they were
good.
But
they were good as an inherent unit.
Yeah. The Chaos Rhino, I believe, has remained. The Rhinos just remain the same across all of Space Marines across the board.
So transports haven't really changed, guys.
Not for Marines, no.
Your drop pod got cheaper. I think
I
think it's 65 points now rather than 70.
Last seen in 7th.
Yeah.
We need to see a Primaris version now. Obviously, I think that seems to be the impression I'm getting, because drop pods just.
In general, your power armored stuff has not received the points drops. It hasn't received any rules changes, and it's not received the points drops to make them viable as a standalone powered army thing, unless you're doing something really wacky. But
you're running veterans.
Yeah, but even then, I would say just use Primaris.
Yes.
Or the only power armor that you're going to see is going to be a Smash Captain still.
Yeah. Now the problem with that is that whilst it's really cool if you're, which we'll cover Death Guard and Thousand Suns in a minute, whilst it's really cool if you're running those factions now, the normal Chaos Marines need to be able to compete with the new Primaris force, and they don't currently. So that this could be an indication that Games Workshop are aware of this and are probably going to re-release
updated codex,
which, to be fair, and we'll cover Grey Knights shortly, I think they need to do that, especially with all these points, the sweeping changes. And if they do end up releasing new Primaris units, they're going to need to release a new Space Marine Codex. They're going to need to release a new Chaos Codex. They really need to release a new Grey Knight Codex. So, you know, and again, that'll be a real chance for them to just redress what's going on. Yeah. But look, those are the Marines. That's Chaos Marines. Mm-hmm. What are we going to cover next,
So
Chef?
then it'll be Chaos Demons.
Demons, yeah.
And then I guess we'll do Craft Worlds.
Yep, so Demons and Craft Worlds.
And then we'll do Death Guard and Death Watch in a minute.
All right, cool. So that's all coming up next. So, folks, slight change of plan. Actually, we figured we'd finish off with all the Power Armor stuff first.
Makes more sense than what I was saying.
So we'll do Death Guard, Thousand Suns, Death Watch, and Grey Knight. So why don't we finish? Let's go back to the Loyalists. So Death Watch, pretty much what was true with all of the normal Space Marine stuff is true for Death Watch, except your base stuff is veterans, and your veterans have gone down. I think you're now something like 16 points a model with a Stormbolter.
Correct.
That's really, really good. Really good. And then plus all of your primary stuff, which has access to the special issue ammunition, has gone down. So Death Watch are back in a big way.
Which is cool.
Which is very cool.
It's almost like...
So if you want to run old Marines, Death Watch is definitely...
I was going to say, what you could say, like, is go, this isn't a Death Watch army, this is my army of Black Shields, to use the 30k term, of basically all of these, you know, you could imagine them being led by someone like Seth from the Flash Toes. He's just like, we don't want any of that Primaris nonsense. Yeah. We're being replaced. No. We're going to join up. We're going to take all of, like, you know, the OG Marines, and we're just going to fight together until we're, like, you know, wiped out by the Inquisition or whatever.
Yeah.
So, like, you could theme a force around that, have no Primaris stuff, have no Inquisition stuff, have no other, like, allies, just have a pure, you know, baby Marine, all of veterans, and just say that they're Black Shields working together to, like, just try and do some semblance of good for the Imperium before the Inquisition goes, nah, you're not Primaris.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's really good, because really their veterans are really good with Death Watch now.
Yes,
because of that points drop.
Really good.
Yeah.
You know, and this now, so all of the support vehicles and weapons have gone down. I think the Corvus might have gone down as well.
Corvus is 135 base now, so I'm not sure what that is, like what weapons and stuff it would be.
That sounds like it's cheaper.
Yeah, I think it is slightly cheaper.
A lot of the flyers are cheaper.
Cannons.
Frag cannons are the same by the looks of it.
Sure. But when you spam your Marines with Stormbolters, with special issue ammunition...
You almost don't need them anymore. You take a bunch of Stormbolter equipped veterans and give them the Dragonfire rounds. All of a sudden...
You've got the ability to deep strike them in with this virus stratagem as well.
They're good for Overwatch, the frag cannons, though. So you might...
you might want them
because you mix and match.
Yeah, of course.
You might just plop one in there.
Oh yeah, sure. You'll still see it. But I mean, like a basic unit of 5 veterans at 80 points... Use the Dragonfire rounds. You're now pumping out, 20 shots at 15 inches at -1? For 80 points, that's nothing to sniff at. And bear in mind, you've got your tactical, your mission tactics on top of that.
Yeah, and they get all of that for free, whereas if we now dive into Grey Knights, the basic Strike Marine did not change.
Sweeping changes! Swaths of unit. No,
there's a few changes.
No,
there was a few.
But the way it was kind of released, I was expecting
like similar to Death Guard, like 16, 17 point Strike Marines.
No.
It's okay, mate. You can join me over here with Necrons as the worst armies in the game still.
Obviously, Necrons I don't agree with, though, but we'll talk about them very shortly. Now, here's the thing. Grey Knights have had some changes, some significant changes. You know, in the characters, and all of the support stuff has gone down, where, you know, in the same, which is now in line with the normal Marines. Twin Las Cannons 40 points, Twin Multi, you know. So your Storm Ravens come back down. Our standard support vehicles have gone down a little bit. This doesn't suddenly mean that things like Storm Talons and, you know, Stormhawk Interceptor was already pretty good before. It's now technically come down a little bit with its. I think it's the Las Talon might have gone down just a tad. But we're talking maybe of just a few points here. So he's still around the same.
I
if
think
not
the
same.
Icarus Storm Cannon went down.
Yeah.
The
Yes,
Hurricane
that's it.
Bolters,
Hurricane
Twin
Bolters are the same.
Cannons went down.
Yeah.
It looks like they're pretty much the same because they have the cannon on the front.
Yeah.
The Las Talon is not here, so I'm assuming it's still the same.
Yes. Okay.
But if you were running it as an Icarus, it's like 10 points cheaper.
Yeah. So I mean, the biggest winner in terms of those support vehicles there is, of course, the Storm Raven. They're still over 300 points when you fully load them out. So it's not. It's they're not suddenly going to be the go-to.
Well, I mean, okay, so just whilst you've got Storm Raven, so it's 192. What's the standard loadout of it?
Well, for a Grey Knights one, you'd be very tempted to go Twin Heavy Bolter, Twin Las Cannon, and the Hurricane Bolters because they can benefit from the side bolt ammunition.
Fair.
And in fact, we've played a battle report where I've run the new Grey Knights if you want to check them out over and on demand, which will probably be released this weekend also, like tomorrow or by Monday, if you're watching this on day of release.
Yeah, 300 sounds about right then. Like, by the time you've counted for like points drops and stuff.
It's fine. It's fine. So you've got an option there, but let's talk all of the characters have had sweeping changes. Like Drago's gone down to like 180 points. Voldus is like 40 points cheaper.
There's 153 now.
Yeah,
and they're so good. Those characters.
Your Brotherhood Ancients, which is some of these support characters have dramatically gone down. Like the Ancient has gone down something like 40 points.
He's 90 points now.
Yeah, and before he used to be like 152 points.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So that's where you're going to see those points if you were taking those characters.
Right. Well, now what's happening with Grey Knights is that you probably will want to take the characters because they do buff your units up. Things like the Ancients, because the Relic Banner for D6 mortal wounds, unfortunately, it's only a 6-inch range, which then encourages you to take the Captain, which granted has also come down in points. He's rocking about 110 points now. So you can get that synergy in there for double range on your smites, and then +1 attack with the Banner Bearer. But the core issues with the army are the same. Your stratagems still cost double what anyone else pays for them, or in some cases, if you're Death Watch, you get -1 on your Storm Bolters for free.
Yep.
We spend 2 points, 2 command points for that, and we only get it on 1 unit. Our basic cost, our Strike Marine is 21 points versus yours, which is 16, the Death Watch veteran.
Yep.
Yes, the Nemesis Falchions are good when you get into combat, but actually, your veterans are 2 attack base, we're only 1 attack base. So we're not even 3 attacks with the Falchions. We can only get 3 attacks by synergizing with a Banner who's within 6 inches of you. So the basic Strike Marine, what I'm kind of saying is still quite expensive. Now, Interceptors have gone down. Basically, instead of 250 for a unit 10, it's now 230. So they're at 23 points a model now. But instead of 25 with the Storm Bolters.
You've seen your Dreads go down.
The Dreads have gone down dramatically, which is good. So my lucky Dreadnoughts are very much back in. Are Grey Knights much better than they were? The Grandmaster in Nemesis Dread Knight, people would want to know that. That's gone down about 30 points. Here's the thing. They have gone down in points. And it is a relatively sweeping change, but the core units, being your troops for the Strike Marines, are the same, and the Terminators are still now
41 points.
41 points a model.
A Paladin, for a comparison, is 49.
Yeah. So the Paladin is still the much better choice if you want to rock Terminators.
He's not troops.
No, but he's not troops, so then you're left in this position, and then you're like, well, if I take Terminators as my troops, which are cheaper now, they are more valid, and I will test them. But then when you look at the base Marines and what every other faction's getting, I think that this, because remember, they've all gone down. Not the basic Marines, but most
their support stuff.
Xenos and stuff like that.
Which Grey Knights don't actually have a lot of the support stuff.
So we've not benefited as much apart from our characters. My final conclusion with the Grey Knights are, obviously your Land Raider could be semi-interesting again, but I think it's still, even at that point, I might consider just running Storm Ravens. I don't expect them to be flooding the tournament scene anytime soon. At this moment, I'm not even sure having read the changes. I'll have a long, hard think about it, but I'm not even sure I will take, because I was going to take Grey Knights to the LVO, but I'm not sure that I will now, which is a shame, because I think that the power of everything else around them, having so many points decreases, I'm just not sure that they can compete. And so, yeah, we'll see. But, you know, again, it's still 1 damage smite. We've not lost Brotherhood of, you know, we've not lost Rites of Banishment or anything like that. So
I think Grey Knights, it just sort of exemplifies what you were saying earlier with normal Marines and Chaos Marines, is that their problems are not going to be fixed by points changes.
No.
This is... Chapter approved is only ever going to be points changes. I think people wanting to see these datasheet changes or army changes, that's going to happen in FAQs.
yeah.
This is essentially a band-aid for those kinds of armies which were released in the early days. And look, they follow a trend. Marines,
Yeah.
ironically, not Death Guard, I
No.
think.
No.
Ironically, not Death Guard.
No, they are all right.
But Marines, Chaos Marines, Grey Knights, they all suffer from the same problems. Expensive, elite infantry that isn't actually very good or survivable in comparison to other units that are out there. And they suffer from mediocre stratagems in comparison to other armies that have been released. And mediocre army special rules in comparison to other armies that have been released.
Yeah.
You know, you compare the chapter tactics to... I mean, it started with Astra Militarum.
Yeah.
Because that was all of a sudden, it was like, they get it on vehicles? What?
Yeah.
What is this?
Yeah.
You know, it's kind of like, that was a bit of a shock.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of started. So this is a band-aid for those armies. This does not fix the inherent issues of those armies. And I think
No,
that's...
it doesn't. I mean,
going to need a new codex.
I will do some more playtesting. There are some potential Grey Knight builds which I think could be very interesting. I won't say I'll rule it out for something like the LVO now, but it's not the overall changes, which I don't think that they're big enough to make the army suddenly you'll see them regularly again. No. But look, that's Grey Knights. That's Death Watch. Let's talk the traitors. So it's Death Guard. All right, straight off the bat, we've already mentioned it. The Plague Marines down on points.
Yep.
Very nice. Right, the Thousand Suns, the Rubricine Marine.
I'm pretty sure you've got to pay for the Warp Bolter.
Okay.
Or is that the Demon Prince Bolter? I don't know.
But the Demon Prince has something called a Warp Bolter.
Yeah, that's
does.
maybe what I'm getting confused about.
I think you might be getting confused.
It's
You're
very
getting-
possible. There's a lot of information here.
Are you getting confused?
I am only semi-mortal.
Yes.
Right, well, the Rubric Marines, the Inferno Bolt Gun, I think that... Were the Rubric Marines were 20 points with an Inferno Bolt Gun before?
It's an easy way of...
I think you might be right. Maybe they were paying a couple of
I think
points
they
for...
were paying a point for it. I've got the Thousand Suns book here.
Just a single point?
Might have been 2.
Because your base cost for a Rubric Marine now is 16.
So what is it called?
It's called an Inferno Bolt Gun.
Inferno Bolt Gun, that's what I mean. I knew it was a bolt something. 2 points.
Right, so you are still paying 2 points.
Yeah.
And in there... Please go down. Well, the Inferno Bolt Pistol 0. I can see that.
Yeah. But there is still... You still pay 2 points for the Inferno Bolt Gun. But it still means that your Thousand Suns have dropped by 2 points.
Which means that actually a unit of 10 previously with the Sorcerer cost 207 points.
So now you're saving... So is it the 4 staff will still be the same, but your Inferno Bolt Pistol is free.
It's free.
Rather than 1.
Rather than 1.
Your 4 staff will probably
4
be...
stave was 8 points. I'm not sure what it is now.
I don't know why it's 8 points there when it's like 4 points for every other army.
Yeah. Any
Because
change?
reasons. No. So you've lost a point on the bolt pistol and you've lost 20 points on the... So you've lost 80. So you've dropped 19 points there.
Okay.
19 points. 9 for the bolt guns. How much is a Soul Reaper cannon, out of interest?
Right, the Soul Reaper cannon I do think has gone down.
Warp Flamers have gone down as well, I think.
Soul Reaper cannon before was like 13, 14, 15 points, I think.
So 13 points for a Soul Reaper cannon by the looks of it.
Yeah.
No, 15 points for a Soul Reaper cannon. It's now 10.
Yeah.
Good.
And the Warp Flamers, I think, have gone down dramatically.
The Warp Flamers used to be, I think, they were 15, and then I think they became 12. They're now 10.
Yeah.
So, again, depending on your loadout, you've actually probably saved maybe 50, 60 points across the thing if you were going to, take that, sort of stuff.
Will this see a large phalanx of 20 Rubricai become a little bit more interesting?
I mean, possibly.
Maybe.
Here's my counter argument to that. Yeah. Zangors are the same.
Zangors are the same.
And cultists have gone up.
But cultists have gone up. And the Rubricai have gone down.
Rubricai have gone down. I think the Scarab Occult Terminators have gone down.
And Rubricai are resilient against small arms fire.
Yeah.
And this is...
They are.
Dust.
Like Death Guard are.
Yeah.
So these are more... I feel at least we're in the realms of being able to compete with Primaris now.
Just being able to have that little bit sort of extra. They've got all his dust and an invuln save. Death Guard have disgustingly resilient and the toughness.
Yeah, and don't forget all of the support stuff's gone down as well.
Yeah, again, your Predators, your Defilers, your Forge Fiends, your Hellbrutes, your Helldrakes.
Yeah. And the characters, have they gone down?
Sorcerers are 90 points now.
Okay.
So I think they've dropped by about maybe 10 points.
Araman
and Magnus are exactly the same. They have not changed.
But they were
very good.
Araman is brutal. Magnus, I think, is a bit of a trap option now.
Yes. Yeah, because Magnus can be dealt with. He can be shot off.
Quite easily. Same as with Mortarion. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Your Land Raiders or your Chaos Land Raiders have...
Well, an Exalted Sorcerer on disc before cost like 132 points.
Well, he's not here, so I'm assuming he's still the same. How much is just a normal base Sorcerer?
So
I know an Exalted one is better.
Exalted Sorcerer is 121, base Sorcerer is 103.
So I think he's dropped by 10 points maybe?
Yeah, and that 103 was with the Force Sword, which was 8 points, and the Inferno Bolt Pistol, which is 1. So they were 9 points.
So he's dropped... to 99. So he's dropped 4 points.
Yeah, fair.
98. So he's dropped 5 points. Yeah, but again, it's just little things like that will sort of potentially add up.
Yeah. I think Thousand Suns. I'm quite. I'm intrigued about doing a phalanx of Thousand Suns of Rubricai Marines now, because with those Inferno Bolt guns combined with Veterans of the Long War, that's quite nasty.
Yeah, I don't like it.
It's quite nasty.
I want nothing to do with it.
And then obviously your sorcerers and everything are still really, really good.
Yeah.
Princes haven't changed. They're exactly the same.
Yeah, they look exactly the same.
Death Guard, in terms of the Plague Burst Crawlers, are the same. I think the Fetid
Plague Burst Crawlers are 100 points base now, so I don't know what they were before. Is that about the same?
Yeah, about the same.
Yeah. Is that last
Plague
year's?
Spitters? Yeah, exactly.
Sure. Okay. Sure.
I think I'm not sure if the Fetid Blight Drones. I think the Myphitic Blight Haulers have come down in points.
They're 75 now.
I think the bloat drones from memory have stayed the same.
Yeah.
But Plague Marines have gone down, and their special weapons like Blight Launchers and stuff have gone down.
They've gone down.
They've gone down. Plasmas have gone down. Flames have gone down. Again, it all sort of...
And it really does. It really does kind of add up with them as well. Their special characters have all gone down. So things like the Biologist Putrefier, he's had a significant drop and is so good.
Yeah, that's the grenade guy.
Yeah, it's a grenade guy. The Plague Surgeon has gone down as well, so you can reroll
all
those
support
ones.
characters.
Oh, so all that's to say it. Yeah, I mean you can and actually running Death Guard Marines is really valid.
Yeah.
Did you use them in the second game? Was it have you used the Death Guard yet?
Oh yeah.
So they'll be able to see that. Here on
I see.
Yeah.
Look, Death Guard and Thousand Suns. Yeah, okay, we can
winners,
see them. Being winners.
Yeah.
And now I think your Primaris Traitor Brothers, False Emperor and all that, will be on par. You'll be all sort of toe to toe with each other now, which is very cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's basically it, isn't it? So we've got the two traitor factions there,
and the two
sort of inquisitorial Marines. Yeah, look, if you're a Grey Knight fan, you do rejoice. We have gotten buffs. Obviously, it is much better than we were before, but relatively, I don't know where we'll end up. In all honesty, with our core units being so expensive still, but I mean those support units, the Dreads being cheaper, Storm Ravens being cheaper, perhaps we can do some sort of a mash up and make it work.
Yeah.
But look, those are those 4. Next, we're going to cover what? Demons?
If we look sorry, just in the last thing that's kind of in the realms of chaos and the Imperium is actually knights. Do you want to just, because it's really quick, do you want to just touch on that?
So they're good, because there isn't really much to touch on.
That's what I thought. So and then we just wrap that. Then we can move on to Xenos, which we all know are the best anyway.
So. How much do you want to wager is the ubiquitous Castellan now, the Imperial Knight ubiquitous?
I would bet that he is exactly the same as before.
You are correct, sir.
Yeah.
Why?
So effectively, with knights, they have gone down slightly in points, and that's just on the
like
war
melter gun or a stubber or whatever.
Yeah. Other than that, they're pretty much the same. Now, when I read this, I had that first moment, but then when you start to play the missions and you realise, which you've already kind of touched on, actually, you kind of go,
it means nothing.
You know what?
And because everything else, for the most part, has relatively gotten cheaper against knights, that means that you can bring more heavy weapons, more special weapons to deal with those knights,
or more rate of fire
than you could before.
Yeah.
So actually, I actually think it kind of works. And also, I was a little bit worried that they might need jerk, react, and actually just then way over cost knights, because
which in conjunction with those new missions would have killed them.
Yes, would have just killed them, which would not have been fair. And if you're a knight player, and I like knights, I think they're really cool. You don't want to completely remove them from existence, but I think because everything else, everything else has relatively gotten better now, it's going to work. I think it's going to work really well. So I'm quite pleased with how that.
I mean, we are talking in general. I mean, if you took what's the most expensive because the Castellan and Valiant in terms of points hasn't changed at all because their war gear isn't on here.
That's right.
The most expensive one's the Crusader with the 2 guns.
Yeah.
So we're talking twin heavy battle cannon with a heavy stubber, melter gun, and the heavy flame on the thing. So that is a grand total of 8 points dropped.
Yeah, I mean, you're not getting another knight, for example.
Yeah. If you let's say you were running 4 of them,
Yeah.
you're saving 24 points. You literally you might be able to get like a carapace weapon.
Right.
You might.
Yeah.
On one of your knights.
I think there's only one thing I would have changed, and I would have actually made the Warglaive a little bit cheaper. I still think relatively, I think just a little bit, maybe 5-10 points. Because I think that the Helverin, for its extra 10 points, is still so much better.
Yeah, sure.
But, I mean, that's me being very finicky. Or alternatively, I would do the fix, which I think is actually more required, is that you keep the Warglaive the same, but on its sweep attack, it's 2 damage.
What is it at the moment?
It's 3 damage
one.
for that.
It's 3 and I would make the big attack, I'd make it...
you can't make that D6 because a big knight is D6. Oh, a big knight's 6?
Big knights.
Yeah, you
flat
can't have a
6.
D6.
Problem is that sweep attack doesn't really work. Because it's not enough attacks to deal with.
Two damage. Two damage would be too much because a stomp's D3. A
Stomp's
an entirely different thing
anyway. The big swing it's got, but it needs some sort of core fix because it's not doesn't quite work. Having used it now as well,
sure.
quite a bit. You just go, okay, no. But look, that's knights. That is it.
Yeah, knights. So I mean, I was expecting not necessarily like 400 extra points across the board, but I was expecting the Castellan to go up quite significantly.
Yeah.
But
you look at its stratagems that went up in the big FAQ.
Yeah, I mean,
it's like if you're playing House
you're
Raven
still
now,
using Oath of Companions.
You are if you're doing Raven, but like let's for example,
you're still using
if I'm using Knights, I'm not even looking at Raven at the moment.
Yeah.
Because of the expense of all of the strats associated with it.
Again, so Knights almost need, ironically, and this is me saying it, and this makes me want to vomit in my mouth for saying it, Knights actually need soup to work now.
Yeah, they do.
Without Guardsmen,
yeah,
they will lose virtually every single game, I would say. If your opponent is semi-competent.
Yeah, it's going to be tricky. They're still going to be terrifying, and they can obviously win those missions, but
and in a way you'll beefgate some of the Maelstrom by the whole you can't kill stuff, so tough. But
right. So I mean, look, it'd be interesting.
Yeah,
we'll play some pure Knight games and see how it pans. But look, those are those factions. Next, we're going to go on to Demons
and Eldar, I guess.
And then the Eldari. Why not? So that's coming up next. And then we come to demons. They've had some data sheet updates. Very, very minor. Things like flesh hounds, which incidentally are the same points, although if in every 5 you can make a gore hound now. And he's got like a little shooting attack. It's nothing to cry home about.
It's essentially a bolter.
It's a bolter, yeah.
Really? Oh, there are updated data sheets.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's me saying like there's no rules changes, and I was incorrect.
Yeah, the intercessor squads, the sergeant, they've updated so that he can take more of the weapons like they do in Blood Angels and the Space Wolves now.
Yeah.
Fiends have had an update. I forget the exact change on the data sheet itself.
Sure.
But
honestly, not sure.
Yeah. Aside from that, and horrors data sheet's been updated because they've had quite a few changes across different books.
This is now the latest and most updated horrors.
Yeah. There's nothing like Blood Crushers have been updated and reduced in points as well. The Blood Crushers data sheets had, I think their toughness is now better. I think their toughness was still only 3 before.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was something silly. Anyway, they're a bit more resilient now. 3 attacks, 4+ save, strength 5. So
they're actually pretty beefy.
Yeah. And then with demons in general, all of the greater demons have indeed gone down massively.
We might see them.
Yeah, we might see them a little bit more. I think so. If we just check the Bloodthirst, I think the
Bloodthirsters have gone down from like they were like 370 or something.
They're now like 240.
Yes.
Which is cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah.
It's very, very cool.
Lord of Changes are 270.
Yeah, Great Unclean One.
Anywhere between 275 and 305, depending on your loadout.
Yeah. So that's really awesome.
And you want to see those big.
Yeah, they're cool models.
Of course you do.
They're iconic models.
They are iconic. So. Yeah, I mean, other than that, Blood Crusher's now 47 a model for those interested. Bellacor's gone down. Pretty much all of the named characters.
Kairos is less than 300 now.
Yeah.
Keeper of Secrets are super cheap at 165.
Is Karanak still the same? I suspect he was. He was always quite cheap anyway.
Looks like he's not changed.
Yeah.
But I mean, he might get an updated data sheet in the Wrath and Glory box that's coming out.
Yeah, because he's getting a new model.
He's getting a new model, as is the Herald in there, who looks amazing.
Yeah.
I think Fiends are the same. Feculent Normals are 85. I think that's
the same. Yeah. Keeper of Secrets 165.
But then he's only got a small model for now.
Yes, that's true.
Seekers of Slanesh are 15. The Chariots are 50. So I think they've gone down by like 5 or 10 points.
Yeah. I don't think any of the basic Bloodletters or
Bloodletters are unchanged.
Demonettes.
Demonettes are 6 points.
Nice.
So they're super cheap.
So they're actually really quite interesting.
Yeah.
That's very interesting.
Your horrors are still 7, 5, and 3.
Yeah.
So I think that's unchanged from the codex.
Yeah.
Your bloodletters are still the same, and your plague bearers are still the same. Now this is what you were saying earlier. I don't know if it was it off camera.
I don't know.
Where it was like,
I did finish that sentence.
Where plague bear, like demons, plague bearers especially, are going to be super.
Oh yeah,
super good in this. Yeah.
I think given the new missions, especially Eternal War, that if you are a Nurgle Demons player who's been playing with plague bearers, you are going to be grinning all the way to.
And Grotty will be grinning with you.
Grotty will be rubbing his little paunchy belly.
He will, yeah.
He'll be loving it.
So yeah, demons overall, you've been given a buff, and more specifically, the things outside of Nurgle have been given a buff, which they needed to, because you were still pretty much only seeing Nurgle, or Bloodletter bombs were more popular pre the Deep Strike beta rules, but. Yeah, very, very interesting indeed. So, shall we go to some of the Eldari stuff?
Okay, so let's...
Drakari? Nothing.
Yeah, that's it. We're done.
Yep, done.
Cool, carry on.
Nothing for Drakari.
Absolutely zero change. Now, obviously, as a Drakari fan... That's awesome. No, but in all seriousness...
As someone who wants balance in the game.
Yeah, as someone that wants balance in the game... Now, here's the thing. Before, I would have said Drakari needs some adjustments. Now that everything else has started to be adjusted around them, I don't think that they need too many adjustments, but I think there are some internal issues that need addressing. The disintegrator, for example, is too cheap in comparison with the Dark Lance. That should, if anything, they should swap the points of them, or at least make them the same points.
Yeah, make them.
So that would mean that instead of 125 for a disintegrator ravager, it would be 140.
It's not a huge difference, but across 3 of them, actually.
But across 3 of them, it is. Now, that's just an initial change right off the bat. The other change I would really argue is that there are still plenty of units in there which aren't quite cutting it. Hellions, for example, an absolutely stunning kit. Where are they on the battlefield? They're nowhere because they're still not pointed right. They're still too expensive for what they do. They die way too easily. It's not to say that they're a bad unit when they get there. They're actually really quite good when they get there. But again, in a system where we've got the beta deep strike rules and we're having to wait, to deliver any of these units, it becomes less and less, often that you'll see them. There are points disparities within the Drukhari Codex. I'd still say the Talos is a little bit too cheap. But having seen the normal Imperial Dreadnoughts go down, the Hellbrutes go down, now it's a little bit more interesting.
That's true, but Talos still has a 4-up invuln save.
Yeah, because of Prophets of the Flesh.
Yeah.
If you go with a basic Talos, you go, all right.
It's still got 5-up on that.
It's still a 5-up
I mean, that's a Contemptor.
Yeah, but it can't take something like a twin link las cannon. But it does have.
Can take twin Haywire blasters.
It does have twin Haywires, but
which I would argue
are 4s.
Yeah, no, but I'd argue the Haywire blasters are better because of mortal wounds.
It can be, yeah. I know what you mean. It can be.
Like this
the problem is it's not just a twin Haywire. You then have an Elder Farseer with Doom. Yeah. Now it's much better than an Imperial Dreadnought. Yeah. So the problem is that a lot of the problems are external. A bit like, let's move into Eldari now.
Yeah. We'll touch on Harlequins quickly. Your fusion pistol became 7. Moving on.
Yay! I think Harlequins...
Is that more or less?
It's less.
I think that's less.
2 points.
Yeah, it's like 2 points less.
Fusion was 9 before.
Yeah.
So Harlequins have gotten very slightly cheaper.
Yeah.
If you were running Fusion, which a lot of you were.
Yeah. I still think the clowns are actually still very good. I still think they maybe 1 point too expensive.
I think I agree with you. I do. But a lot of people were running clowns with Fusion. Not everyone, but a lot were. So in theory, you have gotten a bit cheaper.
Yeah, you've saved quite a bit.
There are plenty of people that weren't and just relied, frankly, on Haywire bikes to do that job, which is probably the better way anyway, in my opinion. I don't know. I think a Fusion at 7 points now is very, very interesting on a Harlequin troop. And Harlequins are on a knife edge anyway.
Yeah,
they're quite good, actually.
They are tricky to balance, though, I will admit.
They are.
And
they've played well, they're deadly.
The new mission with the Null Zone. Oh, I do feel bad for Harlequin players there, though.
Yeah,
they're going to suffer.
They will, but they're going to be relying on just getting the first charge.
They'll have to. Yeah.
And they can stay out of range with the -1 to hits in the interim. But look, Harlequins are an advanced army, in my opinion.
They are.
Yeah. So anyway, look, that's Harlequins. Let's go to Eldari. We don't have many changes, but we do have some, and we do have changes on a couple of the problem units.
But not enough.
Yeah, you feel that they should be more. So the Wave Serpent has gone up like 12. 14 points, something like that.
How much was a Wave Serpent before?
It was like 134 with the traditional loadout of twin shuriken cannon and underslung shuriken cannon.
That looks exactly the same to me.
No, it has definitely gone up a little bit, I'm pretty sure. What's the base cost of the Wave Serpent gone to now?
120?
Right, whereas before I think it was 110.
Oh, okay.
Well, I'm sure that these guys will probably be able to just say, but if
only we were doing it live.
So the Wave Serpent before was indeed 134. It was 110. It was 110 points before the Wave Serpent.
So it was 110 before. So it's 120 now. Your twin shuriken is the same. Your normal shuriken is the same. Yeah. So you've gone up 10 points.
Yeah.
Or you can offset it by removing the underslung shuriken cannon and take a twin shuriken catapult instead for 2 points.
You could. So
you could offset that. If you were like really scrimping on the points, you can offset that 2 point increase. But if you want the damage output, you're going up by 10 points.
Yeah.
It's not.
I think it's all right.
Yeah.
I think it's all right. I think it's 10 points increase with the optimal loadout or popular loadout is all right. Shiny Spears up 3 points a model.
Yeah, they're 3 points up a model, not 3 points a model.
Yes. Could you imagine? Reapers are the same. Yeah. Characters have gone down.
How much was a Farseer?
So I think a Farseer on foot's like 110.
Yeah, it's still 110 there.
Yeah, but your Eldrad's gone down like 15 points. And
which is awesome.
Yeah, which is cool.
135.
Avatar of Cain 220. Your Wraith Knight, although they've already previewed this, has basically gone down about 100 points.
Yeah, so it's 315 base now.
Yeah.
If you took 2 Wraith Cannons on it,
yeah,
there would be 345 points.
Yeah. So at least that's comparable now with a Knight.
Yeah, it's in the range of a Knight. I mean, like, as much as I detest super heavies, at least they're all in the same ballpark figure as each other.
Yeah.
We now just need to work on balancing them against everything else. But
right.
That's...
So, that's the Wraith Knights. I think that we probably will see the Wraith Knight, in fact, perhaps back a little bit. They're not, I mean, their weapon options sadly aren't actually incredible. The Sun Cannon might be interesting. I might have a little look at that at one point in an Elder report for you. But yeah, I mean, the Wraith Cannon for me it's not like on the same equivalent of like Call's Wrath with the Volcano Cannon on a Castellan, for example.
It's not near.
But the Skatach Wraith Knight Forge World has also gone down, and his weapons were better or more interesting. But he's still like 100 points more expensive than a normal Wraith Knight, so he is still quite expensive. So in general, the Eldar are relatively stayed the same.
Yeah, I'm not seeing massive changes on them.
there aren't huge changes.
Which again, on my initial reading,
the Wind Riders have gone down though.
Yeah, they're 16 points base now, and then another 2 for your twin catapult, and then obviously 10
and
for
your War Walkers and your Wraith Lords, and I think the basic Wraith Guard have gone down as well, haven't they?
I'm not
Have Wraith Guard gone down?
seeing Wraith Guard, but
might be their weapons.
The D-Scythe is 20.
Right, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's gone
Wraith
down.
Cannon is 15.
Yeah.
So looks like the combat ones are still the same.
Right.
But I'm not sure. I mean, so yeah, on my initial reading of it, it was kind of like, oh, of course Eldar didn't receive any changes. But the issues with the Eldar aren't necessarily the internal book is still very good. The issues that Eldar have is the same issues that you see with a lot of that hyper competitive play, and that's the Soup and Ynnari. Ynnari haven't received any points changes, so the characters are still exactly the same as they were.
Yeah.
I think with like what you were saying, where there have been adjustments to other armies, they are a bit more balanced against Dark Eldar and Craft Worlds pure.
Yeah.
It's when you start going, I'm going to add a Farseer with Doom, I'm going to add in 3 Ravagers of the Black Heart.
And now those Disintegrators, where they're arguably one weakness was that they're strength 5 against things like which are toughness 5 or higher, and you've got Doom and you can just re-roll that.
Yeah.
For me, I would just tweak it slightly. Doom should only work on an Eldari Craftworld unit anyway.
So,
and the Ynnari Soulburst rules, well, the Ynnari just need their own book. They just need their own codex
Ynnari
to address what they do.
Ynnari need to have not been in addition to Craftworld Cabal thing. It should have always been replace it. But Games Workshop have FAQ'd it to specify that you do still get the stratagems, and that's what causes half the issues.
Yeah.
Soulburst, a skilled player can use that to their advantage, but an equally skilled player can kind of mitigate some of that.
Yeah.
And it's no different to, a stratagem. And it's an army rule that doesn't come into effect unless you're killing stuff, which, as we've kind of established...
She does have Word of the Phoenix of Rain,
which is fine. At least that's cast on a 7. It's not cast on an 8 because she gets a +1.
Yeah.
But at least with the new missions, again, we sort of keep going back to those new missions. They're the things that change the game. You can Soulburst to your heart's content. You can kill me, but if I've already won on victory points, it doesn't matter.
And a lot of the very popular Ynnari builds right now, things like double spears and Reapers,
they're going to be in trouble, I think,
with flyers. they were designed to table. They were
still
designed
very
to
good.
table and cripple and just have the opponent concede. They didn't really need to worry about the mission. That's not what they were designed to do. Now, if they ignore the mission, that could be a real problem.
Yeah. So I think there will be a bit of a, as you say, like a meta shift. I think on initial reading, if you're playing pure craft worlds, some of your stuff's maybe a little bit more viable. You might need to do a little bit of a move around. Same with Drakari. I mean, you don't have to change anything now.
No.
You just need to consider the mission now. If you're playing Ynnari, I think you actually have to think a bit more than you were before.
Yes.
I know a lot of people say, but it was a very tactical army because... I mean, it wasn't. Like, it's a very tactical army because you have to have them in the right place to get Soul Burst off, but...
Yeah. No, they're definitely tactics to use.
Of course, it's tactics to use, but now I think you've got to be
mechanic,
more tactically in terms of the battlefield and the mission, rather than tactically of delete, and I can get away with like crippling this unit rather than deleting them.
Yeah.
But overall, Eldar haven't really seen many changes. At all.
But it'd be cool to think, things like the Avatar coming down in points.
I think Striking Scorpions went down in points.
Yeah. I think actually it'll be cool. I think there are some interesting new builds that
there's going to be some
potentially
different
emerge with
things
the Eldar, which would be really, really awesome. Drakari, we're in the same spot as we were before. So that's Drakari, that's Ynnari, that's Eldari, that's demons.
Yeah.
That leaves us with
Mostly Xenos.
So why don't we cover that coming up next? So it's Xenos time. Gene Stealer Cults and Tyranids, why don't we kick off with those? Gene Stealer Cults, we're not going to dive into too much. Mainly points changes on equipment, which are in line with pretty much all of the other factions. Games Workshop said that obviously Gene Stealer Cults will be getting a codex, so...
probably in about a month, maybe.
Yeah, I'd imagine so. It shouldn't be too long.
Yeah.
So then, they'll no doubt have a complete overhaul, and then we'll see, what's going to rock with them. In terms of Tyranids, some of the big heavy bio beasts are very much back, dropping like 30, 40 points for things like the Exocrine and the Tyrannofex.
To 170 points for the Exocrine.
Nice.
The Tyrannofex, I think, dropped...
He dropped about 34 points,
Double nice.
with like the acid spray or whatever.
It looks like Toxocrines have gone down, Malceptors have gone down.
These big beasts that you're not seeing.
Neurothropes have gone up, I think.
I think they're 90 now. What were they, 75 before?
Yeah, something like that. So, but they were very good. So
looks like your Horospex has gone down. Looks like Harpies and Crones have gone down. Looks like Tyrants with Wings are the same.
Yep.
Your Hive Tyrant on foot still the same.
Yeah.
Broodlords, I think, have gone down.
Yes.
115 now.
Yeah, I think they have gone down.
Nice.
So that's quite cool. So Tyranids, you're in a good spot. You were actually really good already, believe it or not, and now you've gotten even better overall.
Again, I think it's one of those things where you need to kind of look at the army that you were running, and then maybe have a readjustment of it. If you were running all Gene Stealers and all Flyrants anyway, your army's not changed.
Yeah.
If you were running maybe like one Exocrine and like maybe like a Toxocrine for some fun, you've suddenly got like an extra 80, 90 points to spend.
Right.
So it's that sort of stuff where it's going to make a difference is on those big beasties. Small guys haven't changed. Hive Guard haven't changed. Your usual suspect type stuff hasn't really changed. I think even looking at the characters, they haven't changed that much. The Swarmlord, I don't know how much he was.
About 300 points.
Yeah,
So he's dropped significantly. He's down to 250.
Oh wow.
Okay, that is significant.
Yeah, he's a beast.
And he is a beast.
He should be, yeah.
He really is a beast.
But it looks like for the most part, it's mostly the big stuff.
Yeah.
And a few little tweaks on like weapons and stuff. But we're talking like 3 or 4 points, the same as most of the other sort of weapons changes. We're not talking, it's not like we've gone from like the twin heavy battle cannon on the Knight going from 100 points down to 50. It's not that level of points drops. We're talking 2 or 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, overall, they're looking pretty solid, and and hopefully that will kind of encourage a bit more of a varied play style of going. You know what? Have a bit of a monster mash going on, not just 12 Hive Guard hiding out of line of sight.
Yeah, exactly. So then we've got Tau. Why don't we talk some Tau?
Yeah, I'm really happy with Tau. I'm really happy with how they've come out. Mainly because we've just dropped points.
Yeah.
Crisis suits have had a huge drop in points.
15 points.
Yeah, 15 points.
Down 15, not 250.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be wild.
Cheaper than a Space Marine.
Cheaper than a Space Marine. Can you imagine?
Oh, wow.
So
Hooray!
they are now, and I think we'll explore them. I think they could be an interesting choice. Fusion blasters have gone down. They're now 18 points a pop, which is awesome if you're running things like Cold Stars with quad fusion. They're now 12 points cheaper, which makes them an absolute steal in my opinion.
Yeah,
Missile pods have gone down.
Yeah,
missile pods have gone down.
missile pods have gone down.
Plasma's gone down.
Broadsides have gone down.
Broadsides have gone down, as have rail rifles have gone down. So I think, I already thought they were good, but now they're much, much better. And actually, with the points drops, they're kind of cheap now.
Well, isn't the rail rifle the Pathfinder one, though?
The rail gun.
I'm talking about the rail gun, sorry.
That's the thing on the hammerhead. Which is still way too many points at 30.
Don't they have a...
They've got a rail gun.
They have a rail gun, and then you looking
The
at
broadsides.
the broadsides, which are where Pathfinders have rail rifles, which are there. They've received the points drop because I think the broadsides it is the heavy rail rifle, which has not changed.
I see. Okay, I misread that.
But
the
base points for them have gone down.
Yeah, have gone down. I think quite substantially as well. It's like
25 points.
25 points.
Which is huge.
Which is huge.
Pulse driver cannon on the Storm Surge.
Has gone down by 47 points.
Yeah.
Suddenly that makes, in my opinion, Storm Surge...
We'll see them more regularly
Yeah,
now.
we'll see them more regularly. It makes them viable.
Yeah.
They were always 50 points too expensive in my mind.
Yeah.
And now they're literally the points that I think they're worth.
Yeah, and they've been brought in line with the Knights.
Yeah, which is
like the Wraith
awesome.
Knight has, so that's good.
Which is awesome. But
Devilfish have dropped.
Devilfish have dropped, I think by about 20 points.
Yeah, sounds about right. They're 70 base now.
Yeah.
So you can take them quite cheap.
So you can take them quite cheap. And again, with these new types of missions, I mean, I'm looking at them at the moment, and they're not bad. I think they work out about 118 points if you take smart missiles with them.
They would be
the burst cannon, maybe even a bit cheaper.
Be 108.
108
with the smart missiles, because burst cannon's 8 points. Smart missiles are still.
Yeah, so
it'd
108 points.
30.
Actually, that's pretty good.
That's not bad for
It's
a
quite
transport.
interesting.
That's a lot of shots.
Yeah,
Very
and
interesting.
you put a Fireblade and 10 Fire Warriors in there.
Yeah.
Well,
That's what I'm talking
the
about.
Tau Studio Army will be with me by the end of the month, and I will be running Devilfish for fun.
Mm-hmm.
Even if it doesn't end up being the most competitive, I think I can do some Fish of Fury
Well, I
with
mean,
it.
yeah. Well, I mean,
Why
if you because gun drones have gone down to 10.
Yeah, they're back to where they
They're
were.
back to well, no, they're still 2 points more than what they because they originally were 8 points.
Sure.
But they're
wait,
now
they're-
all drones are 10 points.
All drones are 10 points, which is
Fair.
cool. All those rumours, there was lots of rumours about Riptides
Yeah,
going
that's
up,
right.
and they are exactly the same.
And that Storm Surges would then suddenly have access to
the
Save
battle.
Protocols.
Yeah,
No.
they're
Saving
the
protocols,
battle
they-
keyword.
There's no changes of that
No
kind.
changes of anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's still on 2+ for saver protocols.
Special characters.
Special characters. Shadow Sun is 110 points.
Bargain. Absolutely. It's almost an auto take.
If you're running the Tau Sept, you need to take her.
Yeah.
It's just insanely good.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't help the fact if you want to move away from castles. But the thing is, with the points drops in other areas now, you can have like a really strong fire base, which gets to either advance and shoot with no penalty once, and then re-roll shots. Or if you are being hemmed in on all sides, you re-roll shots twice for 110 points. Is so good.
The fact that she allows you to do the carry on regardless of your other choice is the key thing there.
It's really good. So the tactical flexibility that she brings to your army is incredible for 110 points.
Yeah. And that's including all of her war gear. So
That's everything.
is her drones counted as war gear, or do you still need to pay for the
You need
drone?
to pay for the drone.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
But I mean that's
the
still
only other drone you might take is a command link drone, because you can choose herself or one unit to get reroll ones in that turn, which is not bad.
it's not bad. It's another drone for them to kill, but you probably wouldn't waste your time with it, I guess.
Yeah.
Not with Mark
I
Lights.
don't think you need it, but you know
Sure.
it is an option.
Yeah.
But yeah, Ethereals and all those guys have stayed the same by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Fireblades have stayed the same. So yeah, I look, but all in all,
Ghost kills have dropped a little bit.
Ghost kills. Yes, thank you. Ghost kills. I think now, they've dropped like 30 points.
They dropped 12 points base.
Yeah.
Like,
but then with all the other weapons have gone down as well.
The Rakers dropped 7 points. Fusion Blasters dropping a couple points. Flamers dropping a couple points. Burst Cannons are still there. Plasma Rifles are a bit more interesting now at 8 points.
Fusion Collider's gone down as well.
Yeah, that's only 30 points now.
Yeah, so actually when you start to stack that
when
up
you were
on a ghost kill, I'm
interesting choice, isn't it?
I mean, they were already good. They were just a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
Whereas now, when you take that extra points off, and if you're also running things like storm surges and you're saving points and broadsides, it doesn't make a Riptide and auto take anymore. And actually,
that's cool. We want choice.
Yeah, no, which is really good. Like broadsides and storm surges in the back with cold stars and ghost kills up the front. And then if you want to get, then with as many fire warriors as you can pump in there, that's a tasty list right there.
Yeah.
It's really, really good. And then you put Shadow Sun.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, Tau, I think, are in a good place.
Yeah.
And the issues that I have been having with them about them being not mobile, with the points drops in ghost kills and cold stars, actually, it opens them up a lot more, and it makes them more dynamic. And for Tau players out there, if you're anything like me and Chef, it makes them much more fun to play, in my opinion. I'm really happy with those points changes.
I do have one issue, and that is the crisis suits are still kind of weird. Because, now I've spoken to Ben about this previously, a unit of 3 crisis suits, if you took double fusion, is still more expensive than a Cold Star Commander with quad fusion, and is still not as effective because they're hitting on 4s and they can't arrive until turn 2. Now, then you look at maybe things like the missile pods. Well, for 10 points more, you could take a single broadside in place of. So a crisis suit with 3 missile pods would be around, that's coming in at 72 points.
Okay.
With the changes to broadsides,
Yeah.
if you went full missile broadside, which is how I run mine, that is 100. I think that's 115 points, and then you pay 6 points for the advanced targeting system because that went down. So you're 50 points more, but you have the smart missile shots and an extra 2 shots on your missiles, which are at -2.
Yeah.
With a 2-up save, more wounds. Okay, you can't move and fire those without penalty, but that's what you got Mark Lights for.
Yeah.
So again, a full unit of 3 of them is more expensive than, or roughly the same cost as 2 broadsides for half the output. The interesting one might be a unit of crisis suits with triple plasma rifles, because that's only about 153 points for 3 of them.
Which is how I've been running them.
Yeah. So if you took 6 of them, that's only like 20 points more than a Riptide. Damage-wise, probably about equivalent.
That's interesting.
Same strength. Equivalent-ish number of shots, because that unit of 6 is pumping out 18 shots. Double that at half range.
Yeah.
At better AP, less damage.
Yes.
But if you had even a unit of 3 for 150 something points, I would consider having in reserve to drop down and go, here's 18 plasma shots.
Yeah.
It's, there's options for them, but I still think they just
Not quite sitting right.
Yeah. There's something that they're an option. They're a viable option now. I just don't think internally they're a balanced option.
Yeah, I think
Still.
and it's to do a lot with. I would consider running them if I could drop them turn 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
I get the beta strike. I
get why it's
on a whole, I think it's probably better for the game on a whole. But there are some units which were designed specifically for that, which now don't work. And I feel like crisis suits really do fall into that.
For sure.
Because they can't really move that fast if you start them on the board. A lot of their weapons, the potent ones, are actually quite short range.
Yeah.
So unless you're going to keep them later in the game to drop down and hold objectives. But then I think there's actually better units to do that. Stealth suits have stayed the same cost, but still you can get 3 stealth suits with burst cannons for 90 points. And they've got 2 wounds a pop. They've got 2-up save in cover, and it's -1 to hit them, even in combat. They're gonna hold an objective. Yeah, and it's a smaller unit as well.
Yeah.
You can tuck them away to hold objectives. They're gonna do the job much better.
Yeah.
So yeah, I kind of feel that crisis suits in fun games and all that sort of stuff, you can now bring them and not have to worry about not having anything else in your army, which is nice.
Yeah.
Sure. But you're not gonna. They're not gonna return to competitive
what they
play.
were. I think the army that you were talking about, where you've got your Storm Surge backed up with Ghost Kills, Fusion Star Commanders, loads of Fire Warriors, a bunch of Marklights, maybe some Broadsides or two, maybe even a couple of Devilfish to redeploy those Fire Warriors.
Or even just
going to be where it's at.
Yeah, exactly. Or I mean, I think 3 Riptides is still valid to a degree, but I mean, with being needing to move out a lot more, I think you're going to see less of that castle stuff. But 1 Riptide, which you can just Nova Charge.
This is what I'd like to do.
Yeah, this is what Lawrence has been telling me.
Yeah.
1 Riptide is incredibly valid, and especially
just
because the points didn't
I can
change.
protect him well.
Yeah, exactly. And he'll always have a 3 of invulnerable save. So, I think I think we're going to see the list Tau become more dynamic. I definitely feel that.
Which is what they should be.
Which is what they should be.
Yeah.
But I still think maybe the inclusion of Ghost Kills, and now that you've got a bit more points, if you want to run a castle with the extra points that you've saved, you can actually just invest in stealth suits and stuff like that. That's what we're going to see more of, which is what they needed, really. So that's that. If you're a Tau player, I'd be excited personally. I know I am.
So that's Tau, and then we go to Necrons, which
Orcs
is the last.
Have nothing, by the way.
Yeah, that's why we're not going to cover Orcs, because we've got nothing on there. And in the Adeptus Sororitas, we're going to cover in the Battle Report, which is also available to watch right now. So let's finish off with Necrons. Now, there are some Sisters of Silence changes, some
Assassin changes as well. Again, we're talking like a point here. A point here for the Sisters of Silence. For the Assassinorium units, Calidus is now 70. Vindicators are actually quite interesting at 80 points.
Yeah,
but I think they were like 90 anyway, and you were very rarely seeing them. So
it's because they're just not that reliable.
The fact that Heavy 1 for a guy that's designed to take out characters, he either make him Heavy 2 and make it just like flat 2 damage, or make it like, dare I say it, D6 damage against something with the character keyword.
Yes.
And he becomes scary.
Yeah.
Well, but that's cool, right?
That's cool. That is what he's supposed
to
do.
That's a headshot.
Yeah, that is what he's supposed to do.
Everyone likes that.
So, Necrons. Okay. Now, Necrons have had some
there's some
serious points changes.
There's some pretty significant points changes, but I am going to preface this now. I do not think it's significant enough. And this is, again, problems with the normal Marine stuff, which is points are not going to fix all of their problems. Now, I would love to be proven really wrong, and Heat 4 is won by a Necron player that isn't, using like some random thing, in which case I will, I'll take back everything I said, but I do not think that some of these changes are going to make them as good as you two think that they're going to be.
I think they're much better now.
They're much better.
I think they can be very interesting.
They're not going to be competing.
I don't know.
I'm throwing that out there.
We played a game.
Yeah.
We played a game as well. He's not played a game with them. We've used some new Necrons now. So that battle will be out on demand shortly. But here's the thing. Stalkers, Triarch Stalkers down.
Quite a significant amount, about 50 points.
Yeah. And they have a nice little buffing synergy, at least with your core troops, which is good. Which have also gone down.
Yeah, so all of the infantry has dropped. So your warriors have dropped a point. Your immortals have dropped a point.
By way of the guns.
Yeah. Your death marks have dropped a point. You're still not going to see them.
Yeah, again, because they're kind of hurt by the deep strike rules.
Praetorians are now 20. So Praetorians are 26 points regardless of the equipment that you give them. I'm pretty sure. As are Lich Guard. They're 28 points regardless of the equipment that you give them. You're still not going to see them.
Yeah, the Praetorians are they're okay, and I'm happy that they are.
I'm happy that they're cheaper, but I mean, you're still not going to see them.
Yeah, they're not. They don't do quite enough damage, because they're only damage 1 with those huge void blades. They should be like damage 2.
Yeah.
And then you'd be like, ooh.
Actually, we've got a bit of a beefy unit.
Yeah,
you're
then sacrificing 5, 2 wounds, 10-inch move.
Because that's kind of what the offset is with the Lich Guard. Is you can go for the War Scythe, which has dropped a couple points, hence why they're a little bit cheaper. And you get the better hitting power, the higher strength, the higher AP, the higher damage than the ones with the dispersion shields, which are now much cheaper. Yeah. They went from something like, I think they went from something like 46 points a model down to 28. So if you were running them sword and board, you saved a lot of points. But then if you were running Lich Guard anyway, you weren't playing like competitively.
No.
Your Tomb Blades have dropped by a couple points by virtue of the guns going down. So the Gauss Blasters and Tesla Carbines have dropped a point.
Yeah, I think the Heavy Gauss Cannon has gone down.
Heavy Gauss Cannon's gone down by like 7 points.
Yeah.
So he's a Heavy Destroyer is the same point as a normal Destroyer.
Yeah.
Destroyers are the same.
Yeah.
Wraiths have gone back down to their index level of points.
Very interesting.
They're 7 points less.
Very interesting.
So they've got all the stat boosts.
I think they're good for their points now.
They are good for their points.
I think they're good
a
for
unit
their
of
points.
6 is less than 300 points, which is quite nice.
Yeah,
You know,
for 3 up Invon and
Not
what,
shabby.
3 wounds apiece?
3 wounds, toughness 5. They're
I'll take
fast.
that.
They're good, and
I'll
I
take
always
that.
said that they were good anyway.
Yeah, and now they're better.
Both the barges have dropped, so the Annihilation barge has dropped by about 40 points, the Catacomb Command barge has dropped by about 30 points.
Nice, yeah.
The arcs have dropped.
Yeah. And
So, okay. The Doomsday arc is, if you want to play anything above Beer and Pretzels game with Necrons, you have to take 3 Doomsday arcs.
yeah, I think they're almost, dare I say, an auto include. Maybe not, because you can replace with destroyers, but then there is an argument that you just complement them with
Doomsday
destroyers.
arcs are, I would say, better than destroyers now. So a Doomsday arc is 160 points, and they were already very good at 190 something.
Yeah.
A Ghost arc is 145 now.
Yeah.
Your Catans have dropped a little bit.
Yeah. Night Scythes have gone down.
Night Scythe, so both
quite dramatically.
both
actually.
scythes have gone down.
Yeah.
Night Scythe is now less than 140 points.
Yeah.
I still don't agree with it as a unit for what it does, because it's still technically the worst transport in the game. Because it is the only transport that forces you to use command points to save your units inside.
Right.
So if you're running one Night Scythe,
no, you need to run multiple, don't you?
you need to run multiple. In which case,
but they are much more viable now. And
Because they're a
we
bit
played the game with
cheaper.
Mefrit. Like that, their firepower is no joke. It's really no joke. Like it's just no joke. You know?
I'm still not convinced on them.
I am.
Yeah,
I think
they're
as
very good.
an anti-horde against certain armies, they do a lot of work.
Yeah, and I think just the Tesla in general now, and just saving that, I know it's only a point on each immortal or a point on the warriors, but it all adds up. You are getting more.
It doesn't add up.
And then you've got with your elite unit saving 7 points on those wraiths per model is significant if you want to run wraiths, which you don't have to.
The Doomsday have received a 70-point reduction.
Yeah.
It is 150 points. It is still 150 points too much.
Yeah, the Doomsday
It's terrible.
It's because it's a heavy. Yeah, I miss it. It's a heavy weapon.
For 10 points more,
So
you
you
take
think
a
a minus
Doomsday
one to
arc.
hit?
Yeah, that's not great.
For 10 points more, you take the Doomsday arc, which would still be a
That
minus one.
death
if you
rate
moved
should
it.
be amazing.
The death rate, because you were
terrifying.
saying, oh my god, it's amazing. I was like, no, it's really not. It's D3 shots. Yeah, but it auto hits. It's like, it's never auto hit. What are you talking
I was
about?
thinking
Now, if it auto
the
hit,
invasion beam from a previous edition.
you know what? Actually, if a Doomsday was 150 points and had D3 auto hitting strength 10 minus 5 D6 damage shots,
that'd
which
be
is
interesting.
you know what? Actually, I'll take 3 of them.
Yeah.
That would be real strong.
Yeah.
As it is, you pay
That
10
would be a
points.
tasty croissant.
Yeah.
It would, yeah.
As it is, you pay 10 points more and upgrade your croissant to a baguette.
Yes, correct.
Which is stuffed with like a smaller baguette.
Yeah,
Yes.
which is delicious.
Your Vault has gone up because
Yeah.
people spammed 3 of them.
That's right.
And ruined it for everyone.
Yeah.
Now, did the Catan go down?
So the Nightbringer went down. He went down like 30 points.
Yeah.
The Transcendent went down 25.
Yeah.
The Deceiver is the same.
Transcendent Catan went down 25 points.
Yeah. The characters have received... So the special characters have received pretty significant drops. The normal characters, apart from the Catacomb Command Barge and the normal Lord, not the Overlord, have received drops. The normal Lord went down by like 8 points.
Yeah.
The Monolith, it went down by about 60. Still too much.
Yeah.
It's a Land Raider. It just doesn't... Against some armies, you'll bring it and your opponent will be going, oh my god, how do I deal with this thing?
Yeah.
Against any semi-competent opponent, you'll bring it out and your opponent will go, thanks for the kill.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if you bring out a Monolith or a Land Raider against someone who's running a Castellan, they're going to be like,
Lol.
ha!
Yeah, they'll deal with that.
Yeah,
that's not a problem.
So this is my thing with the Necrons, okay? Because you guys are convinced that they're going to be really, really good now.
I think they... well,
You.
I'm not saying they're top tier now, but
They're
I
not
think
top
that
tier.
they're suddenly very interesting.
They're still not great, in my personal opinion.
Do you think they're like Grey Knights level? Not great?
No, I would say that Grey Knights is still the worst army in the game.
Yeah.
I just think,
think
that
I
the problem
agree
with
with that.
Necrons,
It's
like
very sad.
knowing the missions and knowing the points changes, you'd have to sort of adjust things accordingly. Which is, that's the nature of the beast. That's the way that the game works. I mean, already you're talking about, I sort of turned up and you're like, I've spent so much more money on more tower stuff because I need it now with these changes.
Yeah, I was just looking again. Well, I'll have to get that.
I've got to get this.
Oh, that looks delicious. I'll take that as well.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Christmas. Well, I guess this is for me.
Present to myself.
Yeah, exactly. Treating myself.
But I'm looking at this and I'm going, I have to take Doomsday Arc. And the Doomsday Arc does fill a niche that my army does have a problem with, which is anti-tank.
Yeah.
I think
And that's what it's designed to do.
Which is what it's designed to do. I just think it's sort of in comparison to, and again, this is just using an extreme example. So if I took the 1750 points list that I used against your army, the Tower game that we played. Now bear in mind that was old mission, different things. You still probably would have won because at that point you had 3 turns to go and grab objectives.
Mm-hmm. But I actually was holding a lot of objectives.
You were. But either
Played
way,
very well, you see.
Either way, in comparison to those armies,
Yeah.
your army, I think, remained unchanged.
Pretty much. Well, my fusion would have.
Oh yeah, you
So
dropped.
I think I got a 24 point.
You gained 24 points for the fusion star commander. So I think you gained about 24 points maybe.
Yeah.
I gained 92.
Yeah.
Well,
List,
that extra that in comparison to that sort of disparity, that extra 60 points would not have helped me in the slightest. In comparison to my Tower army, which I still haven't used on the channel yet for 8th edition.
No, you haven't actually. Yeah.
But my 1750 Tower army versus my 1750 Necron army. My Necron army, with a little bit of tweaking, so this is what I would do. I would drop the Tomb Blades. I would drop, I think I would drop the War Scythe off the Lord and just give him a Hyperface sword.
Yeah.
That would give me enough points with those changes to add in 2 Doomsday Arcs.
Well, see,
which is pretty tasty.
That's pretty tasty.
That's no joke.
Because you've got 30 Immortals with Tesla at that point. You've got how many Wraiths? 6?
6 Wraiths.
6 Wraiths.
6 Destroyers.
6 Destroyers.
8 Scarabs to form.
Are already very good. 8 Scarabs, nice little cheeky screen. Why not? Plus, I love those little destruction protocols. It always catches people off guard. Oh, here's D3 Mortal Wounds.
The two Doomsday Arcs.
Yeah.
And the support characters.
And that's 1750.
That's 17. I think it's like 1748.
That's 2000, which is normally what most tournaments are still playing. There's
Sure.
a third Ghost Stark in there. Doomsday Arc.
Yeah. So you'd add a third one, and then I'd add in the Tomb Blades back in, or something along those lines.
I mean,
It's
I don't know.
That's
That
not
sounds quite
shabby.
interesting
That's
to me.
not shabby. But
Does
then
that sound interesting to you?
I'm interested.
Listen,
I'm excited.
interested.
Yes, I'm so interested.
I am excited to play that on the channel.
That'll be a fun army, and it will certainly do better because it will have a lot more anti-tank and actually quite a lot more anti-infantry with the
I hate more.
You think?
the flayers.
Yeah.
But
No buts.
There is
Just
no
listen.
buts.
listen to me.
Embrace the power.
Yeah. My 1750 Tower army, by comparison,
Right.
gains like 85 points. So not only do I have to remove units and put in more optimal units, which I don't have a problem with, it's just that inherent imbalance between
Codexes.
between codexes is not only is my Tower army already so much better than my Necron army, but I have a similar amount of point savings.
Do you know what would be interesting? We should do a rematch of the Necrons versus Tau, but we
With the new
optimize.
missions.
Yeah, we should. We should do that.
It'd be very
Because the
interesting.
other thing with the
to see
Necrons is they
die
are
on turn
actually
3.
quite resilient. No, but they are actually quite resilient.
They are if you're playing someone who's never played them before.
Yes, I
Bone
know
isn't
that you
an
can get
idiot.
around.
I mean, he's an idiot, but he's not stupid.
Right.
You
So
know, he would do exactly what he did. Now, he wouldn't auto win by virtue of tabling or conceding,
but the reanimation did come up for you, didn't it? A couple of times.
like,
Times where it
I
did,
think there was like 4 models that came back in total because every unit
Weren't
was
they
destroyed.
Destroyers?
No, the destroyers
No,
were
no.
wiped in a
Oh, did
single
you
turn.
wipe them out?
Yeah.
The destroyers were wiped in a single
Because I
turn.
removed the cover with the marker
The
lines.
the race were
Oh, you
removed
did,
in
yeah.
over the course of 2 turns.
So
The
bad.
I think I brought back like something like 3 immortals, if that.
Okay.
So they're not resilient at all. So these new missions will be interesting with
They
the
will.
fact that And again, it's almost like, you're talking about using Mefret and that extra AP, especially with all that Tesla, would be really nice. I still think Nefrek might be the way to go, especially with those new missions and you want to go to the objectives. But I have to play around.
Yeah.
All in all, I don't think that they're going to be, you're still not going to be seeing Necrons on the top tables.
No, perhaps not, and I'm not claiming that
I
they
don't
will
think
be.
that they're, they're not Tau level, they're not Orc level, they're not even...
I think anything's not Orc level.
No.
They're not Death Guard level.
I don't know, Chef.
Yeah, I don't.
We've got look. This is just conjecture.
I'm not saying definitely no, but I'm saying I need to play with the Necrons.
I don't think these.
You need to play with.
I need to play with.
I don't think they're as good as you think they're going to be.
I'm not saying they're top tier,
but I'm a very cynical person.
If played well, they could be interesting.
Yeah,
they could be interesting. I find them personally more interesting now than the Grey Knights. Not in terms of like the fluff, like I love my Grey Knights, but if I compare the two,
sure,
I go, you know what? There are some exciting builds, I think, for Necrons. Whereas the Grey Knights, I'm excited to get some more characters on the field, but that's pretty much all I really get.
Problem is your exciting builds are 3 Doomsday Arcs, 3 Triarch Praetorians, 3 units of 10 Immortals.
Yes.
That's great.
Or I might go the phalanxes of warriors, whatever.
Look, I mean, okay, so...
And race up the middle.
Look, regardless...
I think all the armies are in a better place. Generally in a bit of a better place.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's worse off.
No one's worse off.
Which is nice.
Apart from Chaos.
Which is good.
Because apparently screw Chaos.
I think Chaos, aren't in a great spot. The basic Chaos Space Marines now are really not.
You've got to be a very good player to be running pure Chaos Space Marines, I think.
Yeah, I think.
And the same with Grey Knights. I think you've got to know them inside out.
Yeah.
But back to the original point, when we started this, I don't think these points changes. The points changes are nice, and there's going to be little tweaks, and it's basically to get you to buy an extra box worth of models, which is the nature of the beast. As we say, I've got to go and buy at least 2 more Doomsday Arcs. At least 2.
It's 3.
You've already bought 17 Ghost Kills.
Yeah.
So. But
who cares about the rule of 3?
Yeah. I don't. Well, the 8 don't.
Yeah. Well,
I don't think that the points changes are going to be the thing that is going to change the game drastically. It's going to be those missions.
Yes,
100%.
And this is what I mean. Actually, when you put it all together, it really. Although we're making predictions now, actually, it's quite difficult to see exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Which is exciting.
Like a completely new game.
Yeah, and actually, we play a lot of 40k.
Yes, we do.
We play a lot of 40k, and actually, when you play the games, it just feels so different.
Yeah,
feels so different.
Awesome.
Yeah. So, I think we're in a good spot. But I think that's points.
Those are the points. Now there are Forge World things that have changed and tweaked. I won't go over them here because, to be honest, it's just in line with.
Yeah, it's going to be mostly
everything else.
That sort of change. I don't think there's anything major. Like, you're not seeing all of a sudden Wide Hides drop down to 300 points, which would be terrifying.
No, the Kaitan is very cool now. Dropping his points definitely did drop. Because I checked that.
Yeah.
So that's cool. He's like in line with normal knights now. But that's it, guys.
Yeah.
We should leave a little bit of time at the end to talk about Vigilus Defiance. So let's talk about that. That's coming up next. And so now to Vigilus Defiance.
Oh, it's a cool book.
It's really good.
The artwork in it's really cool. All the pictures are really cool. We're looking
Calgar made in his father's image.
He's just a bad man.
That's so cool.
Everything in that's really cool.
Yes.
But
you guys probably want to know the rules.
Yeah.
So
how about them formations?
How about those formations, though?
Yeah.
Now, what we've got, a new detachment's called Specialist Detachments. They are basically formations. They all of them allow an additional Warlord trait, which can be purchased for a CP. It can't be the warlord of your overall army, and generally all of these specialist detachments need to require the same keywords, obviously, the same sub-faction keywords. There are some new psychic powers, I think, in some of
I think there's a couple. I think it's mostly for the Gene Stealers.
Yeah, and there are new relics as well, some of which are very, very interesting indeed. So we won't go over every formation because, again, it will take a long time, and they don't cover every faction in the game. We've got Elder in there, they've got a Wind Rider host back, Wraith hosts, obviously Space Marines are in there, Black Templars
get some love, which is cool.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Ravenwing get a really nice one. I think we should talk about that one.
Yeah, why not? Exactly. Well, why don't we kick off with the Ravenwing one?
Yes, I mean, where are you, Ravenwing? I mean, other things as well. Calgar's back, and he's got his Praetorian Guard in there.
Guard,
forgive me.
Calgar's, he's pretty boss.
Yeah.
I mean, he was always pretty strong, but now he's been Primaris-ified, so you can imagine what that does.
Yeah.
And he's cheap, really, for what he does.
Relatively, yeah.
He's 200 points.
Something like that?
Yeah. And so, for giving you rerolls and 2 command points just for taking him, rerolls on hits within 6. And he does something else as well. I can't remember. He's an absolute beast in combat.
He's still an absolute weapon in combat.
The weird thing as well is they've got Harkan, Herald of Abaddon, in there, who's basically a Raptor Chaos Lord.
Yes.
And he's got an increased. He subtracts 1 from enemy leadership, which of course would synergize with Raptors and stuff, which is really cool. He's not bad for his points either. He's nothing
cheap.
Yeah, there's nothing game changing with him.
He's cheap.
But then weirdly, they don't have any Chaos formations at all, which I like. Again, I'm not. This is a rumor, guys.
This is a rumor. Chaos is being phased out as the main enemy, and the main enemy becomes the Gene Stealer cult.
No, you heard
it here first. I'm a visionary.
I think that given the fact that there's very little change to the basic Chaos stuff, other than in a negative way, really, it wouldn't surprise me if that book gets redone. That's all I'm going to say. It wouldn't surprise me if that book gets redone. I feel like we might be on the precipice of something very cool happening with them. And to be honest, I hope so, because they need it. Because they have not come off well in Chapter Approved overall.
They have suffered.
So, things like getting this Harkan World Claimer and
he's alright.
Yeah, and we've seen, like in Blackstone Fortress, they had some new Chaos Space Marines, didn't they? Some models in there.
Yep, which look amazing.
Look amazing, and Chaos have been screaming for some updates for a long time. So hopefully, something cool will happen. But look, we'll see. In the meantime, let's go over that Ravenwing formation.
Yes. So I mean, all the formations follow the same.
Format. So that's why we just cover a couple and you'll get the idea with the other.
So the Ravenwing Attack Squadron. So if your army is battle forward, you use the following detachment, Specialist Detachment Stratagem. So you can have as many Specialist Detachments as you have stratagems.
Yes, it's a strat.
But you can't apply multiple Specialist Detachment Stratagems to the same detachment.
Right.
In addition, being part of a specialist detachment does not give you any inherent rules.
No.
You have to pay further command points to do specific stratagems or use warlord traits or relics.
It gives you access.
You get access to stuff. You don't get inherent bonuses like a formation did from 7th edition where you just went, they're part of this and they gain 4 special rules.
Yeah. So that's I guess we should probably start calling it a specialist detachment as well.
Rather than a formation.
Because it is actually...
It's a specialist detachment.
Yeah. And you can only have 1 specialist detachment per list, though, right?
No, I'm pretty sure...
I'm fairly certain you can only have 1.
So if your army is battle forged, you have access to the specialist detachment stratagems presented in this section. A specialist detachment stratagem, that's going to be really difficult to keep saying, is a unique type of stratagem used when choosing your army. This stratagem will assign a specialist detachment keyword to certain units in that detachment and will unlock warlord traits, relics, stratagems, and certain psychic powers that those units can take. Any detachment from your army except for auxiliary support detachments can be upgraded to a specialist detachment by using the appropriate stratagem.
Right.
A detachment from your army can only be upgraded to a detachment once, and thus cannot have multiple specialist detachment stratagems applied to it even if they affect different units in the detachment.
Sure.
Right. So you can add as many as you want in terms of command points. But you just can't have this one on 2.
Yeah, you can't.
If you've got one
attachment, 2 different specialists.
Yeah. So this one unit here can't have multiple things. But anyway, so most of them cost 1 command point. I'm pretty sure they all cost 1 command point. I've yet to see one
in my very brief overview. So attack squadron. Use this stratagem when choosing your army. Pick a Dark Angels detachment from your army to be a Raven Wing attack squadron specialist detachment. My God, this is word.
It's a mouthful, yeah.
Raven Wing units in that detachment gain the attack squadron keyword.
Cool. All right.
Then you get nothing else. You gain a new keyword.
You've just got a keyword at this point.
But that unlocks a new relic that you can use and a new warlord trait that you can use. Now remember,
Relic's a badass power sword, so you can use it on your Talon Master in the land speeder.
Yeah.
Which has also gone down in points, I believe.
Probably, yeah. Now, remember, as you were sort of saying earlier, there is another stratagem that is available for all of the armies.
Field Commander.
Field Commander.
Yeah.
So basically, you could have, let's say you've got a battalion and an outrider. Obviously, your outrider is a Raven Wing attack squadron, but your warlord is in your battalion. Yeah. You can spend another command point in order to give that specialist detachment the specialist detachment warlord trait, and only that warlord trait.
Yeah.
And you can't have the same, like, you can't double up on that. So if you had two separate specialist detachments, you could spend a point over here to give that one its detachment and that one its detachment, but if they're the same detachment, you can't do it. Right. You can't have the same warlord trait twice. It makes a lot more sense on paper when you're actually reading it. Yeah. But suffice it to say, if you want to invest in these detachments, you're burning a lot of command points.
You are, but some of them are.
Some of them are very cool.
Yeah.
So the attack squadron character, if he's your warlord,
always fights first.
Yeah, lightning fast reactions. You always fight first, even if they didn't charge. If an enemy has other units, doesn't matter.
Blade of Power there.
The Blade of Power.
Yeah, did you see that?
Which ties in nicely with the Relic of Caliban, which is the Monster Slayer of Caliban. Model with a power sword only, replaces the bearer's power sword and has the following profile. So it's +2 strength, -3, D3 damage, and you add 1 to wound rolls for attacks that target monsters or vehicles. Yes. It's actually pretty tasty.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
That's very good.
Yes.
And then they get access to 2 stratagems. Most of them get access to 2 stratagems. I think there's one which gets access to 4, which is the Primaris one. Yeah. So the Dark Angel, so Swift Strike, 2 command points. Most of them are one. Most of them have 1 and a 2/1. Use it in the fight phase after they have fought. That unit can immediately make a move and advance as if it were your movement phase, or if there are enemy units within an inch, it can fall back instead.
So it's like a hit and run.
They get hit and run,
which is awesome.
Which is very cool.
Yeah.
And then the second one, which is really nice.
This is really good.
This is strong. 1 command point. Use this stratagem after an attack squadron unit from your army has attacked an enemy unit in the shooting phase, and the attack resulted in the enemy unit losing 1 or more wounds. Add 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by other attack squadron units from your army that target the same enemy unit this phase. So it's overlapping fields of fire, but for Space Marines.
Great. Helps them.
And that's where you start comboing that with other stuff, because you go, well, actually Raven Wing, it's quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
That's your flyers as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like your Dark Talon.
Yes.
That's all your Plasma Talons. All of a sudden, those overcharged Plasma Talons, because, despite the Orc Codex and everyone going, oh, their Plasma's going to change and everyone's always going to hit on a 6 and it's always going to have to be a natural 1, that's not a thing. Yeah. Like, it's still, as written, if you roll a 1 or negative to 1, you die. Yeah. So you combo that, you shoot something with your Dark Talon, and then your rapid fire Plasma Talon Black Knights next to it. That's pretty nasty.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So, it's pretty cool.
It's nice.
You've either got to, you're doing this for theme, you're doing this for fluff. You're not doing this because it does something utterly game breaking.
Yeah.
Because of the points investment that you have to make.
Yeah, you're actually, and if you're doing pure Raven Wing, you don't have many command points anyway.
So I mean, in order to even get access to these stratagems, you've got to pay a command point.
Yeah.
So, you know,
you've got to balance it, but that's fine. It's just they specialist attachments should have a cost. Yeah. In terms of, I mean, we could look at the Primaris one and maybe the Wind Rider host.
Sure, let's look at the Primaris.
Just because then we've got with Space Marines the Primaris, and then we've got Xenos.
And this is another reason why you want to look at intercessors, in my opinion. I think this is really good.
This is very good. The combo is insane, but it's basically all of your command points in one go.
Yeah.
But the Space Marines don't have an amazing amount of
which they
stratagems
don't,
anyway.
Unless ironically, you're running Calgar with Bobby G, and all of a sudden you've now got like 17 extra command points.
Yeah.
But this, ironically, fixes a lot of the problems with the main Marine book, which is their stratagems aren't great.
Yes.
Yeah.
These ones are very good.
They're very good.
You've obviously got to pay a point to unlock it. So
It's fine, I'll pay that point.
Indomitus Crusaders. A Space Marines detachment from your army. Primaris Captains, Primaris Lieutenants, Primaris Ancients, Primaris Intercessor Squads, and Insector Squads gain the Indomitus Crusader keyword. Not aggressors. There's a reason for that.
And you will see shortly.
So the Warlord, I really like the Warlord trait. I think it's really cool. Because it's Grey Shield, so this Battle Brother served in a unit of Grey Shields, which are kind of like, they were Primaris before they were given a chapter. And once per battle at the start of your movement phase, if your Warlord is on the battlefield, you can choose for Indomitus Crusader units in the same detachment as your Warlord to gain an additional chapter tactic until the start of your next turn.
That's fun.
So that could be Codex Discipline, Lightning Assault, Siege Masters, Righteous Seal, Master Artisans, Shadow Masters, and the Flesh is Weak, which I think is all of them.
Yeah, that is, so I can do Iron Warriors trait with Iron Hands, forgive me, trait with Ultramarines or Raven Guard with Salamanders or whatever it may be for a turn, which is very cool.
Yeah. So it gives you some nice flexibility. You can go turn 1 against a Tau army. I'm all Raven Guard this turn. Or you can go, I've been charged by a bunch of Orcs, but actually they've not done a lot of damage. I'm going to be Ultramarines this turn so I can fall back and shoot. So it gives you some nice flexibility.
Yes, it
It's
does.
once per battle, but it applies to all friendly Indomitus Crusaders. And they basically get an extra chapter tactic
It's nice.
for a turn,
Yep.
which is nice. Because it's until the start of your next turn as well.
Yes. Yeah.
Then you get access to the relics of the Indomitus Crusade. So they get 2 of them. I think they're the only one that does get 2 of them.
Yeah.
Most of them get 1.
Yeah.
So you've got the standard of the Ultima Founding, Primaris Ancient only. Once per battle, at the start of your movement phase, you can plant the banner. If you do so, the bearer until the bearer next make a move. So they can stay where they are for 4 turns. Friendly Indomitus Crusader infantry can reroll hit rolls of 1 and wound rolls of 1 whilst they're within 6 of the banner. So he turns them into a captain and a lieutenant until he moves.
Nice.
It's quite nice.
Yeah. Nice.
And then you've got the Reliquary of Guthalamore. I quite like this one. Enemy psychics must subtract 1 from psychic tests made within 18 inches of the bearer. In addition, if the psychic power is not successfully manifested, roll a d6 on 4 or more, 4 plus. The psyker that attempted to manifest that power suffers d3 mortal wounds.
Ouch.
D3?
Yeah, that's horrible.
That's just like...
Now, it's only on a 4.
Yeah.
Damn.
Perils, and then that?
If you roll a double 1 for perils.
And then you got this in the face as well?
Yeah.
See you later.
Bye, Eldra! Actually, Eldra doesn't care about
goes
mortal
down.
wounds.
Yeah.
Because that makes sense.
Yeah.
But then you've got the stratagems. So this is where it gets pretty... This is a bit convoluted, but it's a prelude to greater things. I'm waiting for him to start rubbing his back.
Billy's getting rubbed.
So in summary, what's the crux of what these
So
stratagems
the first one is Liberators. Use it at the start of a fight phase. 1 unit from your army. If they make an unmodified hit roll of a 6, you do 2 hits instead of 1. Okay.
Cool.
Then you've got the main one. So this is a secondary unlock. So Veteran Intercessors. So it's 1 command point. Use this stratagem before the battle begins. You pick an Indomitus Crusader Intercessor Squad. So only an Intercessor Squad.
Yeah.
Unit from your army to be Veteran Intercessors. That unit gains the Veteran keyword for the duration of the battle. In addition, add 1 to the attacks and leadership characteristics of that unit for the duration of the battle.
Blood Angels. Do you like that? I like that a lot.
Do you see where we're going with this?
Yeah.
But wait! It gets better.
It does.
Okay, so then you've got 3 additional stratagems that all cost 1 command point each. These can only be used on Veteran Intercessors. So you must have spent a command point to get the Crusaders
So
detachment.
Joe's going to be spending 4 CP right off the bat.
Yeah.
Yeah,
He is.
because this is just on a Space Marines detachment.
Yeah.
Which in theory is a Death Watch detachment. Is that a Blood Angels detachment? I don't think it is.
No, actually, I think you might be right, Chef. Yeah, no, you might be right.
It's
If
not a Blood Angels detachment.
Yes, I know you can't do that. You can't
Why?
put them on Blood Angels.
That's not fair. Please?
No, actually, so hang on. Okay, this is where it gets a little bit silly. Okay, because I'm just going to break off from it slightly. Looking at them all, when they say you pick a detachment, they always talk about the army with the keyword, so it's bolded. So the Imperial Fist is an Imperial Fist keyword detachment. Sure. Crimson Fists, keyword detachment. Black Templars, keyword detachment. Space Wolves, Dark Angels, Adeptus Mechanicus. It is not the keyword Space Marines on this Indomitus Crusaders one.
It just says pick a Space Marine detachment from your army, but it says Space Marines detachment.
Which I would argue...
Space Marines detachment isn't a Blood Angels detachment.
No, but let me have a look at
Do they have the Space Marine keyword? It's happening. We're doing it
have
live.
Adeptus Astartes.
See.
That
is
Blood Angels.
So no,
you wouldn't be able to do it. Death Watch wouldn't be able to do it. Which is a shame. So that ruins
I had a whole plan.
But it's still very good.
Well, it's
throw it in the bin.
So, done. So you get 3 extra stratagems. So you've spent a command point to upgrade one, and you've spent a command point to upgrade them to higher level, so veteran intercessors. So you're now talking 3 attack Space Marines.
Yeah.
Which is what they always should be.
Yeah.
The first one is rapid fire. Pick a veteran intercessors unit from your army. Bolt rifles in this unit change to rapid fire 2.
Ouch. That's a lot of firepower.
That's quite nice.
Yep.
Then you've got Bolt Storm, and this is why you don't have it on aggressors, because this would be gross. Until the end of the phase, this is auto bolt rifles.
Mm-hmm.
They automatically hit if they're within half range. So you basically get an extra one for each of the special bolt types, and then you get target sighted, which is your Stalker bolt rifles.
This is interesting.
The weapon, they become actual sniper rifles again, so they can target character and they do a mortal wound on a 6.
Yeah.
So you can have a unit of veterans with the Stalker bolt rifles, just spending a command point a turn to just and they're no joke. The Stalker bolt rifles. I mean, what they heavy one, but 36-inch range, -2 though.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're a sniper rifle that's better because they're -2 base, and then you get the mortal wound on top of that.
Yeah.
Or you can just have a unit of 10 intercessors going. You know what? Have 40 -1 shots at 15-inch range.
Ouch.
That's gross for 1 command point. So it gives you some nice options for your
So
intercessors.
again, buffs for Primaris all round.
Yep.
So then who can... Sorry, I just need to... So if it just says Space Marines, so like Ultramarines can't use it then?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're from the Space Marine book.
Yeah. The Ultramarines is a sub-faction.
So it's pretty much for Ultramarines?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Well,
you could use it in
Raven Guard.
Raven Guard.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
You could use it for Imperial Fists.
Yeah.
Imperial
Fists. So there are a lot of, you've got Cybernetica cohort, you've got Servitor Maniple. We won't go into them now.
I do just want to talk about the Servitor Maniple Warlord trait because it is the most 40k thing ever.
Master of Biosplicing.
Yeah. The Tech Priest has no qualms about sacrificing one specimen to preserve another. At the end of your movement phase, you pick a unit of servitors from your army within 6 inches of your warlord and a unit of breachers or destroyers that are within 6 inches of your warlord. One model from that servitors is immediately slain, but then the breacher or destroyer unit heals D3 lost wounds. That is the most metal thing. Like, come here, you.
It's very cool.
Stuffing it into this breacher, trying to fix him.
There's Emperor's Blade Assault Company, Emperor's Wrath Artillery Company.
Yeah, got like 5.
Astra Militarum have got quite a lot.
But you'll recognise a lot of those names as what the old formations were.
Yeah,
the Emperor's Fist.
Tempestus Drop Force.
Yeah.
I mean, none of these are like hyper competitive, but they're quite fun.
There's some fun ones for sure.
Stomper Mob, Cult of Speed.
The Cult of Speed, I would argue, is actually very competitive. If you're willing to invest the points.
Dread War. There's a Wraith host in here, so you've got Circular and Aenden style theme. You've got a Wind Rider host, which is also very much like the old formation from 7th edition. They've got a Remnant of Glory called the Howling Sky Sword of Galeleth. Which is basically the weapon always wounds on a 2+. It's a Witchblade. It's only a Farseer or a Warlock can have it. It's damage 3 though.
Yes, it's not bad.
Wow.
You just force the saves, hitting on 2s, winning on 2s.
Yeah.
With a Farseer.
Yeah.
I mean, what they got? 2 attacks, 3 attacks.
Yeah.
2, I think. Yeah. Wild Rider, your warlords. Is the warlord trait, and any friendly Wind Rider hosts. Units within 6 inches of the warlord can charge even if they fell back this turn. However, Shining Spears do not become a Wind Rider host unit.
No,
so you can't do
again,
that.
it's almost like these Specialist attachments are meant for fun and fluffy games.
Yes,
they're not
exactly.
meant to be
It's
broken.
not hyper-competitive.
These are what
No.
formations should have been.
Yes, although
Fun.
this is just the first, so
Oh, don't.
Calm down.
Did you
Calm
know?
down.
Oh, well, actually, rumor time. You heard it here first. I have from excellent sources that the Ynnari Spear Enclave is just
around
Ynnari,
the corner.
and it's just the Shining Spears and just Dark Reapers, and there's a
Yes.
one command point stratagem
One
to allow them
command
to
point
be
allow
effective.
soul burst in every.
You can soul burst twice per this
No,
turn. Yeah.
no. Right.
And then there's another one which gives them +1
That's
to
enough.
hit wound. Yeah.
So then we have a couple of stratagems here. Nimble Escape for 2 CP. Use this stratagem in the fight phase after a Wind Rider host unit from your army is fought. This unit can immediately make a move and advance exhibit or your movement phase, or including a fallback. So again, a bit of a hit and run. And then for 3 CP, this is one of the more expensive ones, which is why I thought it would be interesting for you guys to hear it. Tempest of Blades. Use this stratagem at the start of your shooting phase. Pick a Wind Rider host Farseer Skyrunner unit from your army. Improve the armor penetration characteristic of shooting attacks made by friendly Wind Rider host units within 6 inches of the unit you picked by 1 until the end of that phase. So that could make a load of shuriken cannon or scatter laser bikes around that Farseer quite nasty, but it's 3 CP.
You've got to invest in these formations to make them work. Like not to make them work, but to
get the use.
Yeah, you've got to have a very specific game plan in mind, I think.
And look, I mean that's it really,
not bad.
guys. That's Vigilus. It's an awesome book. The narrative missions in both chapter approved and Vigilus are really, really cool. But rather than talk about them, we're going to start using them in some of our narrative reports, which are coming up. But overall, final thoughts. For me, chapter approved is absolutely awesome. Sure, there are some things that we've spoken about which I would like to see improved upon, but they've got opportunities to address those things in the next big FAQs.
They have plenty of time. It's it's okay. So it's one of those things of, did it fix all the problems in the game?
No,
of course not. Did I want it to? Yes, of course I did.
I want everything now.
Will they get round to it? But this goes back to what I was saying a while ago on a video, where it's kind of like we as wargamers are now pretty spoiled.
Yeah.
But we already live in an age of instant gratification and technological access.
So we expect.
I'm hoping that Games Workshop do actually do that at some point. Eventually, an app would be real nice.
I'd love to see
you can take my
digitize it.
subscription money every month. It
I'd
will
love
be
to
fine.
see them make it digital, because it would the changes would be even faster.
It'd be
and
slick.
live and all in one spot.
Yeah, you'd have all your stuff in your app, all your updates updated on your app. You pay your subscription fee every year, and people would do it. I don't, anyone.
And we've seen other game systems do it.
Yeah,
so,
War Machine does it, and they use it for Age of Sigmar with the Azir app.
Exactly.
So it will work. I'm just hoping that they're just still working on it.
But yeah, I think overall, new missions, awesome.
It's awesome. Big thumbs up from me.
Yeah. So that's it. This has been another Voxcast with myself, the Spider, the Chef, and the Bone. Go check out the Battle Report if you haven't already, and we'll see you soon.
Sisters do what now?